Right now live. Ooh, okay.
I feel the same way.
What is up? What is up? Can we hear me? I need some hellos in the chat if we can hear me. I might take a little bit here to get started in the stuff. We're looking at Nvidia earnings.
Don't listen. I don't care what all these fans are saying. You're not that bad.
They may be talking about me on the spaces right now, but I hope you guys are all ready and excited for another great day in the stock market here. We're here for some Nvidia live earnings. Oof, I'm excited for this one. These numbers should be out. It's kind of hard to see. Zoom. All right, 4:20 p.m. Eastern is what time these numbers should be out. Earnings call at 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I'm going to test something. I'm going to go on mute for a second. All right, you guys can hear me okay. How we doing? I'm looking forward to the stream. I got a couple stuff I have to do before. We should be joining the spaces. Elon Musk eyeing 2024 Edge, hires GOP political advisor. Interesting. Interesting little headline about Elon Musk. I hope you guys aren't going to leave me hanging this entire chat. I need to know who's here. Say hello. How are you guys feeling for these Nvidia earnings? Interesting little headline right there. Ooh, Spaces is open. Let's join into that one. So as you guys know, we're live on these earnings for a good long time here. We got Gurgavin hosting the spaces. I got a couple stuff I'm going to do here at the start. Get the Instagram post up. One second. Sorry, that was a song on... Imagine that fucking gets this whole thing, like, restricted or something. Oh, that would suck so much. That was a couple seconds, though. Still, nobody. Oh, first person said hello in the chat. Yes, Crage, of course I do. Crage, how you doing? I have not been brought up on spaces yet. Should be now.
Oh, how peaceful the music is.
Greetings, Orange Capital. So I did some stuff to make us have a little bit better lag problems for anyone here who's on my Jerome Powell spaces. I have a second computer up right now. I just kind of plugged in the old one, so I'm using that for a couple of stuff. And we're trying some different things. I may even go off Wi-Fi on my phone, see if that helps a little bit. So I'm hoping the space is better. I'm sorry. I've never been a good DM checker. I won't lie to you. But appreciate you being here. I got a bunch of stuff to get out.
Like always, spaces suck. I can't tell anyone right now. Let me out some people.
Why does it sound like you're in a freaking wind tunnel?
Suck. I can't tell anyone right now. Let me out
Spaces are having some problems. Why does it sound like you're in a freaking wind tunnel? This is a bad start to the spaces. I want to know how good Benzema is for Indian stocks, like Benzinga. Well, I mean, I do like Benzinga. I have it up. This is kind of what I'm going to be looking at for the live earnings. It's solid. It's expensive. I don't know how much Benzinga is. I think it's a solid product, though. I won't lie to you. And the space is down. There you go. Let's do some things. Let's be productive while this is happening. But yep, Nvidia earnings coming up after the close today. Let's take a look at the markets. Everything on the one tick, one day. Let's get over to 5. I'm gonna be chill with the stream. You know, there's so much for me going on during these Nvidia earnings, and only so much I can do. That you know, I can get all stressed about it, or just be chill and muddle through and keep going and just provide you all the numbers the second it's out. The world awaits Nvidia earnings. I am excited. If you guys are in here, say hello in the chat. for Nvidia's earnings. Just posting a tweet. All right, now let's join the spaces. I think it's gonna work this time. What do you expect? I have no idea. I can't lie. I have added. You guys know we're doing a little bit of a competition for Q3, stock picking competition, and basically kind of what's happening there is you have to hold the stock for a minimum of 1 week. You have to stay pretty much fully invested, and I wonder if I can just pull it up.
Evan, can you hear me?
Yo, what is up? Are we here, the people? I think it's working. Gerg, how do you sound? No one's talking right now. Maybe it's just me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I couldn't hear Kirk.
A couple thumbs up, couple thumbs down from down below. This is a very conflicting start of the space. Oh, the host is having connection issues. Give it a second. They may try and reconnect soon. I have a feeling this space may be restarted again.
The wind tunnel's getting to him again. It's hard to tell who's on stage these days.
No idea. What is up, Aditya? Longtime follower here. Is this your full-time job or second-time job? This is my full-time job. Reporting news, talking about the stock market, everything that's going on, getting information. A lot of the partners that I come in and work with help me with that. So shout out to that. And I guess you kind of get to the size where it becomes a viable business. And it's cool to be there. We're still trying to break into the live streaming and stuff. This could be a big part.
Okay.
You know,
I mean,
so...
We can start talking a little bit here. I don't know what's up with Kirk. But Evan, you want to roll in a little bit here?
Well, I think it's, I don't know. Gerg's just going to rug us at some point, so I don't want to get too deep into the conversation. Obviously, Nvidia earnings coming up. It's been an interesting day in the market for Nvidia, moving lower, but kind of coming back up a little bit here. I don't know. Stock Talk, you have any initial thoughts here that might get cut off? So you're just kind of intros, how you're feeling about the market today, what you're watching, kind of the impacts of it?
Well, I mean, I'm just waiting for this report, obviously. I mean, I think the market today.
All right, we'll see. There you go. That's so the space just crashed again. These guys. We're going to get this back up. I'm going to keep posting the link to the live stream to different places. Continue doing this. What is up? EPS expectations, 64 cents. Yeah, I did put out the tweet earlier. I'll probably end up just retweeting it too. Where is it? Yeah, this is what I see. Yeah, Victor, I'm trying to get myself to host. I don't know. We'll see. I'm messaging him if I should just host it. Is it back live? We still have some time where we're good. I don't know. I think it might just be him if I'm being real, but we'll see. See, look, not being able to play music on here is a major L. Major L. I agree. I think I am the best host at this stuff. I'm not complaining. This is probably good for this live stream. Get some people in here. If you guys are new to the live stream, I'm new to it as well, but I'm trying to do these more. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I found that is the biggest way to get people to actually like see the live streams and stuff. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and also give the stream a like. We're currently at 6 likes. Let's get to 20. 20 likes? Is that a lot? I don't know. Let's run through some of the stuff that we have on the day. Going into, obviously, Nvidia earnings is the big one that we have. Those numbers should be out at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. What's up, Anon? Aditya. SMCI getting whacked, right? Let's pull it up. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Yeah, maybe I will at some point. I'm in like a super simple setup right now, and my goal on YouTube is to just get the 4,000 watch hours, where I can then monetize. Here we go. I'm gonna call Gerg. Let's get this live stream open. I'm gonna go on mute for a minute. There we go, Buttery Bear. Welcome, welcome. I'm calling Gavin, trying to get him to fix this stupid thing. Ooh, is that the Martin? Alright, Gerg said he tried one more time. Ever been a part of an earnings report? Oh, only ever played with penny stocks. Can I be honest with you? I don't think playing around earnings is really a great way to make money. So I have a degenerate play. I'm doing it. I'm 0 for 3 so far. I've lost money 3 times. So maybe I'm going to go 1 for 4. We'll see. I'm going to talk some shit like I am. I'm probably not. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we move to YouTube. X not working. No, I think X will work. I think it's just Gavin, honestly. Alright, I'm just going to tell them we're opening it. Ooh. Seen a little news story flashing by. Let's look at something. Little breaking news. OpenAI is in talks for a funding round valuing the company at more than $100 billion. Let's get this posted quick. So let's hit it with a little Justin, you know? Why not? It is in talks to raise several billions of dollars in new funding round. It would be above Wall Street Journal. Let's use a photo. Let's cite the photo. We're kind of in janky mode right now that I'm live streaming and trying to do this stuff, you know? So, kind of doing the B-Tech way. Although it is okay. Alright, get back to here. Even Nvidia calls. Okay, it looks like Gerg just opened the live stream again. Let's try this. Here we go. One more time. Get to hear this music again. Just play options after ER. I mean, maybe you want to play like the Nvidia. I don't know. Let's look at this. Let's pull this up. T-Rex. We do have these guys. No IV, nothing like that. I have a feeling Nvidia is going to report good numbers. Stock is going to end up down like 2-3%.
Take 3.
All right, we working this time? Spaces, question mark, question mark. I don't hear Gerg.
I have a feeling it's gonna crash again.
All right, I think. All right, let's Wolf go live on Stocks on Spaces account. Let's go live there. We'll get Gerg as a co-host, and we'll keep this moving forward. Yeah, people even my YouTube live chat is like Gerg's not cooking it today. Go do it, Wolf, and we'll join over.
Yo, I can hear you.
Oh, there he is. But are you just gonna rug us 5 seconds in? This guy. What's happening here?
Where are you?
I think he's in some coffee shop.
You guys are hearing this live. What the hell? I did take one of those
Not sure we're
ones.
getting anything here.
Let's look at this. See, I tried to... I already said my piece. I think you just go open it.
Alright, Gerg, you closing this one down? Coming with us?
Just open it, and we'll figure that out. No, yeah, just do it. Come on.
I mean, it's kind of working. He just invited me to co-host.
Good for you, Gob, for not going under pressure. I was like, do it, Gob, do it. Come on.
I'm pushing for it. I'm good. I don't want to run this thing. I'm doing my own live stream here.
You can do a lot of things in life. I mean...
Yeah, I'm not fucking hosting that thing fully.
Yeah, exactly.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Dude's out in like a cafe right now, getting lunch, expecting to host a space. What are we talking about?
Up, guys.
Are we doing good?
I can
We're working.
All right, this is one of the worst spaces I think that has ever happened.
Yeah, I think everyone's good.
Love you, Gerg. I'm out.
What's the odds we rug again?
Minus 100.
I'm just gonna host my own space. Let's try something. You know, let's do a little beef up here. Sometimes I say, a space that's actually gonna work. I'm pushing for it. Let's do it. You guys want to see the other side of the beef? Let's open in a space right now. All right. I guess if I'm gonna be running the space, I might as well be hosting it. Not first choice, but here we are. I don't even know what's happening over there. So we'll see. I appreciate everyone for joining in. We got some live Nvidia earnings going. I'm sharing my screen for the first time, so I have a lot going on here. Oh, Gergavin closed it down, joining up. Let's throw him over, give him the co-host, Mr. Cafe. Wolf, you good to run us through the first hour here, and then I'll start taking it over in the second. We can try and... Yeah, what's up, Gerg?
I don't know what's happening to the spaces.
Spaces is being wild. Here we are coming in for the rescue. I'm hoping it's a good earnings. I think a decision just had to be made there, and it was for the best of the world.
I tried it 3 times to make it work, but for some reason it doesn't work.
It's working better now for sure. So I hope everyone is ready and excited for these Nvidia earnings. So far, guys, I am 0 for 3 on these earnings plays I've taken. I'm learning for you guys in real time why I should not be, why you really shouldn't be gambling around earnings. And let's see, I'm probably going to go 0 for 4 today, but I do have a play around Nvidia earnings. We'll talk about that later as we go into it. But Wolf, you want to start us out here?
Yeah, so Evan wants the market to crash, and that's what he said at least last night on MySpace. But we can jump into it. The problem I will say, Evan, is I can't tell who's on stage. It just shows me, you, and Gerg.
That's fine, to be honest. It's a full panel for us.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know who else is
All right,
on
this is
stage.
rough. How you guys feeling? How does it
I'm
sound?
on stage with you.
Okay.
Shy, let's kick it off here. Let's kick it off over here with you, throwing your thoughts on Nvidia, and then we'll also have CrowdStrike earnings. We'll let some people get in here. How we feeling for these earnings, Mr. Shy? What are we watching?
Yeah, I think both names will.
All right, there we
actually
go.
end
How
up
do you guys?
red,
How does he sound? Can you
but
guys hear him
not
well?
To the 10% red. I think Nvidia's gonna have really strong prints. already made some commentary that 40% of the revenue is already shown on how that's going to go due
Let
to
me
the
get
big
this
four
up.
big tech players. And I think there's kind of really strong earnings. It's all about their guide. Their Q3 guide, he's gone space with Ivana, but like this estimates right now are 31.4. She made some
That was some
commentary that the
wildness.
bull side for it to go like up would have to be like 35 billion. So that just shows like it doesn't have to just meet their outlook. It has to beat by over 10%.
Where'd you think I was Asian?
Expectations for Nvidia.
All right, let's make them a little louder.
Maybe retest those all-time highs.
How does that
I'm
sound?
underrating due to the uncertainty on delaying the Blackwell chips.
It feels a little loud.
That they probably won't be more on the aggressive side of their guide, but I don't think anything about this earnings will be thesis breaking. Everyone needs to get their hands on Nvidia's GPUs. That story will not change. It's all about maybe valuation and expectations. Like the estimates have gone up significantly since the last.
Yeah, spaces are
their
interesting,
last
but it
print.
is
So
what it
you have
is.
to ask
We're
yourself,
kind of
like,
just here.
what's being priced in, what's not being priced in. I think they're in the third innings of their domination in the GPU space, and you're kind of already seeing their vision on the ecosystem they're building around their AI hardware that's going to accelerate the AI applications to build around it. So they're going to essentially own the full end-to-end life cycle of AI, the AI thematic, and you're seeing that play out. So this earnings maybe
It's good volume,
like,
okay.
it doesn't give the numbers needed. It doesn't guide to the extent that it needs to hit the all-time highs. But I think a lot of people will be okay with them just settling in the 120s through the seasonality weakness. That's my 2 cents on that. CrowdStrike, I also do think the estimates are still pretty high on CrowdStrike. And we got some pre-reads through Sentinel One and Palo Alto on their guides. Were not as aggressive as I would have anticipated. Maybe you can say that Palo Alto's guide was more conservative because they're a blue chip company. They like to under promise, over deliver. Sentinel One yesterday, I really do think maybe I'm hypersensitive because I've been part of those conversations where I help prep the C-suite on earnings calls. There was a lot of fluff language on that call. There was any
nice little comment out there.
Call out that how they're taking.
Let's see if this leads to some good followers too. This could be a good day overall.
And why that there's like the business.
A lot going on. I can't lie.
Them due to the outage.
1 second.
They weren't getting any.
I was not counting on being the lead moderator in this space. That was not what I was supposed to be doing here. So now I have to host this live stream and do this. It's definitely more than I was expecting to be doing, but we're going to make our way through it. We'll muddle our way through. Any comments from you guys in the chat would be really helpful. So keep any thoughts. Where do you guys think Nvidia is going to close trading at today?
Due to the outage, I mean, okay.
And when I say close, I mean 8 p.m.
Linkage to
This is a 1 day. Let's get over a little bit lower.
At the tax of
It's 5 minutes.
We didn't even get that. We got very vague language. And
140.
Nothing about the numbers in the past earnings. Yes, I know the outage happened 10 days before the quarter ended, but nothing about the numbers in the previous quarter or their guide indicated that they're taking market share from CrowdStrike. So
oh, 340. We're at 20 minutes until the market's closed. Wild times.
CrowdStrike's gonna be fine. You're seeing the bounce from 200 to 270. It's settling around this price. I just think that they're either gonna take their guide down aggressively, like maybe close to 10%. And
140, two 140s. Damn.
Guided for 20% growth next year. How do you rate them with this overhang on dollar amount that they have to settle for their customers and Delta, as well as the black eye that's going to take some time to regain the trust of their enterprises? But
spaces
way,
sometimes.
I really don't think it's going to be thesis breaking type of quarter. Because they're still the best endpoint product in the market, and you're seeing their two competitors not really provide any clarity or proof that they're actually taking market share from CrowdStrike. And this is going to solve itself in time because everyone has short minds with short-lived blimps like this one was. I know it impacted a lot of people, but it was short-lived. And even right now, like, it's on people's minds when you see it bounce from 200 to 270. I do think the bottom is in the stock at 200. But it probably will pull back because it did go up, I don't know, 25% in a matter of weeks. And there is still an overhang on what their future behavior will be post-outage. I'll pass back to you, but that's my 2 cents on both those companies.
Perfect. Appreciate you as always, Shy. I want to keep this conversation just flowing here because honestly, we don't have too much time before we come out. I sent over some invites. We'll see who ends up popping in. I won't lie, this panel might end up getting pretty big at some point. These earning spaces tend to be. So I might have to move around some people around. We'll see. Sorry in advance. But let's go over to Kevin next. I know you talk a lot about a lot of other stuff outside of just Nvidia and AI and tech and all that stuff. But I know it's a big part of this market and what's happening today. You have any thoughts on these earnings coming in here and what you're maybe watching and waiting for here to hear, and maybe some areas that you might be kind of intrigued to see how they react to it. Appreciate you as always for joining in.
I appreciate you too, Evan. And if you have to move me around, because at the top of the hour, I do have to jump and
20
I can
minutes.
hop back on later.
I'm just here for the ride too.
All right, so Nvidia, everybody's been hearing about the analysis. I'll try to take a different view, right? I mean, I think they're going to hit the earnings expectation.
Oh, Nick, welcome back.
I think the outlier for them is
welcome back, Nick. Appreciate you for coming back on the Spaces.
Blackwell delay. And is that going to impact earnings or guidance? I mean, is that going to be the case? And then the other area too is software.
We got Omar joining in.
I just continue to hammer home there.
Volume a bit low again.
They're trying to build a robust platform
Josh Snow.
there and utilizing their own customers' labor force
Basta from the north.
with solutions.
Josh Snow, you big Game of Thrones guy?
Those solutions and then
quick water
putting
sip.
them in the packages and being able to resell those or make that as an attractive offer for new customers.
This has 545 views.
A phenomenal model that's going to be able
84
to
concurrent. I feel like that's not the best ratio.
Term, and I think that's going to be the end game here. Hardware, as far as margins, I'm not worried about margins this quarter. I'm not worried about margins even 4 quarters from now. Well, maybe 4 quarters from now. But we know that margins eventually will.
I may have a small short Nvidia position on.
The company in the history of time has been able to command a space and maintain margins forever, right? We know that. But when you're looking at software and the software suite and the back end usage of their hardware, that's where I think they're going to be able to gain in the long run. And traditionally, that's where it actually gains larger margins too. So that's going to be what I'm listening for on the conference call. Blackwell could be
freaking excited, dude. Nvidia earnings.
Report. But from a technical standpoint, Nvidia generally does have these intraday sell-offs before their earnings announcement.
Do any of you guys use X Pro? It's pretty good.
The price action and
some of the people I follow on here are a lot of just good news accounts. First Flock is good.
I think that's a fool's errand in order to do that. CrowdStrike.
I don't believe 140, but we'll see. Nvidia is my second largest holding. I own a lot of Nvidia.
I think the structuring, as far as maybe taking a non-cash adjustment hit in order to cover potential losses, and coming out and saying, "Look, we made an aggressive assumption as to
Nvidia is 10% of my portfolio."
Losses that we might have to pay out in, and if they come out and just take a one-time charge, I think just like a bank would do provision credit losses, right? Those are non-cash items. I think that would obviously maybe cause a little bit of volatility for this earnings announcement, but I think that's the best route for them to go if they have a solid assumption as to how much they may have to pay out to ease the fears. And so if they don't go that route, which is understandable, if they don't have that estimate, I think they'll just kind of be bleeding this, and it'll be a part of the narrative over the next couple of quarters. I don't think investors want to see that. So I'm kind of looking at that as saying that could be like the big bombshell from CrowdStrike. You're not going to see the major players. I don't think you're going to get a lot of information about major players moving and stuff.
Feels
like
it's
that.
going to be a
We've
little
already got a couple of other earnings. I still think it's a little bit early on in order for any company to provide updated guidance because of that outage. But I feel like we would have had a little bit more of a rosier picture for some of their competitors. I just feel like that's something that we're going to have to wait for until next quarter, and then the commentary around the outage and the issues, how they're fixing it, what they're doing
page
to
and
resolve
channel.
it.
Let's go,
I think
Ian.
that'll be,
welcome to the YouTube.
obviously a juicy thing to hear about on the call. CrowdStrike.
If you haven't already, subscribe. You should.
I think is under. The estimates are very, very low for them. I think the bar's low, and I think they're going to be able to exceed that bar, hopefully. And I think it's going to be all on the expense side. If they can show that the expense management initiatives that they've been putting into place and have been talking about are
what does Cerebros mean? I'm stupid.
Win for them.
Welcome to the room, though, Marshall.
And so I actually think that probably could be one of the bigger movers of today. I don't think Nvidia is going to move as much as people want it to move. I just don't see anything that they can say that's going to really wow us.
Around 11%. So
Right. Yeah. and market makers have been burned so many times in the past. I think they're going to give themselves enough cushion in order to fend off any type of short squeeze for it. So I just posted this chart. Nvidia actually has the highest implied volatility move going into an earnings announcement since May of 2022. All right, so the market's already. I mean, everybody's looking at it. And wants
This is
to
the
see
implied
what's gonna
move
happen.
for
It's gonna
Nvidia over the
move,
last
We're
couple.
gonna have this aggressive guide to the
If you guys are on
upside.
Twitter and aren't
And
following Meet
I'm gonna
Blossom
go
app,
on
you
the
should.
side of
You're
market
missing out.
makers that try to price in at least a one standard deviation range of where price stays within, and I feel like they would be the ones that have the edge. I might be wrong about that, but I think I don't think Nvidia is going to have a 20% upside move on. It might have a move to the upside, but I don't think it's going to be as aggressive as with these long call buyers or these long call.
All right, guys. Yes,
buyers are
Vince, I think we should.
So I think
Everyone, I want you to put
be the one that
either bull or bear. Do you think Nvidia ends the day higher or lower? Okay, I gotta go in the
I'll
spaces.
take it back.
Perfect. Appreciate you, Kevin. All right, we got about what 13 minutes to the close. Nvidia earnings out at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. So
Did you go with estimates or no?
why don't we wait a little bit before we actually get into the numbers? I feel like it will be better closer, like after the close.
We can do both, but sure.
Let's. I want to get Omar into it. Always love having his opinion on the spaces. And Nvidia, merry Nvidia earnings day. This is kind of our Super Bowl here. So how are you feeling? What are you watching for? All that good stuff. Is Nvidia gonna save my portfolio tonight?
Hey, yeah. Great day. Really excited.
Bull
to hear
bear,
what
bull bear.
Jensen
Come on.
and, Colette have
Bull,
to say.
bull, bear.
I think
Bull.
it's a
Bear.
really
Okay.
interesting
Like
time
2-1.
for
I thought it would
Nvidia.
maybe be more.
I mean, on one hand, a lot of people have tried to call this a bubble. The sort of trends that you see playing out, it really seems that we're just getting started. I mean, you look at this paper from DeepMind today, where they trained a model to generate the game Doom. Without actually having the code of the game, it just learned to predict every frame. You know, I think these models are we're just starting to see what they can do. They've become amazingly mainstream. You know, you go talk to your family and your aunt's using it, normal people are using it, and they've started to expect it, and they've started to expect it for free. So the tech trends underlying Nvidia's insane growth over the past few years is very real. On the other hand, the company has had some challenges just in the last quarter. We've heard about some delays and some issues with their Blackwell architecture. And I think that new product is really going to be key to the next wave of growth. So
His live stream is hard.
there's going to probably be a lot of questions from analysts about that, how they see Blackwell really ramping up, when they can start doing deliveries, start recognizing revenue.
Orange, keep letting me know. I appreciate you.
There are other companies that are chipping away at Nvidia's hold over the industry slowly. They're charging so much more that it gives a lot of room for others to try and offer competing solutions. But right now, it doesn't look like this train is stopping anytime soon. The major cloud service providers and companies like Tesla that just announced they're building and posted video of a facility they just built that's 100,000 H100s and H200s powering their full self-driving software.
All right,
This
30
is up
minutes.
from the 35,000 they had before. So the cloud service providers, your Mag 7 companies, and even other enterprises, they're buying these things like crazy.
You were on the
I
old
haven't
streams.
seen any signs of that really stopping, although they're also investing in alternatives. And I think this company's still got a lot of growth ahead of it.
Welcome.
There's really going to be questions, I think, about the timing of the
I'm
new
doing great.
products and how that
I'm
might
excited for these Nvidia
affect
earnings.
things, whether it's a
I'm now
quarter
hosting
here
the
or a
spaces
quarter
and doing
there.
this, so a lot going on, but we'll see.
But once this new product gets out and they're shipping it, you'd expect to see even larger growth than we're seeing now.
I appreciate the thoughts there, Omar, and we love to have these spaces when, you know, you guys want to jump into the conversation. If it's craziness, maybe we go to hands, but if just normal, we could jump in. I do want to ask the crowd down below. I would love to hear what everyone thinks Nvidia will open trading at tomorrow. So if you guys want to, that purple 24 in the bottom right of your screen, the spaces chat, throw what you think it will open trading at tomorrow. It's currently at 126.44. I know, Gerg, you want to maybe run through some of the numbers. The implied move was around 11%. I wonder what numbers we should be expecting. But yeah, down below. I'm curious to hear what people think.
So, are you ready for the numbers?
Are you ready to give the numbers? That's the real question.
To be honest, I actually wrote them down because I know I would be in a car
Let's see what people
or
say.
traveling while
YouTube,
it was gonna
let me know. What do you guys
happen,
think it will open trading at tomorrow?
Numbers come out the 420 top line estimate of 28.9, which has been moving higher every single week. Last 7 weeks, it has been
133,
moving up
okay.
week by week. EPS is expected to be 65 cents. Gross margin, a new high of 75.5%. Data center revenue of 25.1
120.
billion. Operating
Yusuf, I
income
kind of like where your
of
mind's
98
at.
billion. But to be honest, no one really cares about these numbers. People care about the guidance, to be frank. Wall Street expects $31.9 billion for Q2
128,
revenue.
145.
Estimates of 71 cents. Data center of 27.8.
144 over here. Here we
And the
go.
margin will be slightly lower than this quarter.
$0.
75%.
80.
And this puts the full year estimates at 161.6 billion, and market expects 272 in EPS for full year. But the main number to look for is at least $34 billion from Nvidia for Q3. Because market expects 32. Anything below 33, I think the stock sells off. Even 34 wouldn't be
What
as
else do we
strong,
have?
so we need a range between 34 to 36 for the stock to actually rally higher from there.
CRM. Gerg, I'm gonna come back to you and ask some opinions and all that good stuff. But here we go. I want to keep it going around here. We still have a bunch of time. Numbers come out at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. We do also have a couple more earnings. Salesforce should be out at right around the bell. CrowdStrike, maybe have some conversations around that one. That one should be out at 4:05. Nvidia, though, we have plenty of time till it comes out. Appreciate everyone for coming on the spaces. You should make sure you're checking out and giving the speakers a follow. But Monative, I wanted to throw it over to you and hear any thoughts that you want to add into the conversation. We got CrowdStrike coming in here pretty close to the bell, and then Nvidia reporting earnings 4:20 p.m. Eastern. How you feeling? What numbers will you be watching heading into these earnings?
So, okay, let's back up a little bit to, some of the comments made. I don't have much disagreement with anything.
SNCI getting
Maybe
destroyed.
levels are a little more grounded on what I expect. Last quarter, during the call,
Yeah, look.
Jensen specifically called out
If
significant
you're an options call, where do you see the next consolidation point?
calendar year
I don't really have an
24
answer to that.
revenues from
170 open.
from
That'd be
Blackwell.
crazy.
I am guessing that is back-ended to Q4, which is their
I have a
2025
small little
Q4.
earnings play
Yeah.
go into my competition
So,
portfolio.
I'm not worried about either the Q2 earnings or even Q3 guidance. I'm looking at, I think where we are going to see anything, if at all, is going to be in the full year guidance. And full year guidance is going to be very interesting. Look, if he was talking about significant Blackwell revenues this year, which is his exact words, that means there's a big order book there. Question is, do those get postponed or do they get substituted by H100? My contention, if they get substituted, it's going to come at the cost of some margin. If it gets postponed, it might just be a narrative to play out. It just gets postponed. So question really comes down to how far is Blackwell postponed. If it's end of Q1 instead of end of Q3, then we have some problem midterm, right? Like the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters, we might have an issue. If it's going to be postponed just a quarter, meaning, it comes out in early Q1 instead of late Q3, might not have much of an issue that they cannot,
San Diego.
spin it, right?
Thank you for being here. Appreciate the support.
That's what you really have to watch.
Hey,
Everything else,
thanks
I'm
for
not
subscribing.
worried. As far as where
Big
we
earnings
are,
incoming.
I think Shai said,
I'm gonna try
early
and get
third
ready
inning. I
here.
think we're probably more like, my opinion, late fifth. And the reason is we've spent massive amounts of money across
Here we have CrowdStrike should be pretty
the
close to the
spectrum
close.
of
This is what Wall Street's
hyperscalers. And
expecting
they're
for
going to, at
CrowdStrike.
some point, pause and take stock. They are now just doing a massive land
just get the
grab,
tweet
but
ready.
that's going to slow down at some point in time. I'm not saying that this will stop. I'm just saying that there will be a pause of 2-3 quarters where people try to right size their spend and stabilize their revenues and rework their models before they start ordering, at this pace again. Whether they're going to conveniently use the delay in Blackwell to do that, which is my gut feeling, if indeed it's a 2-quarter delay, that remains to be seen. So I'm a little more circumspect short term, mid term, let's say Q4 and Q1. And
let's
I'm
hit this.
more bullish about Q3. I'm not worried that much about Q3. There's not much material that's changed for Q3.
No, I appreciate
Q2
you.
certainly there's nothing
I'm trying to
at all.
keep doing my thing and expanding and all that good
CrowdStrike,
stuff. So these
from
live streams are a part of that. Trying to grow on YouTube
Sentinel One call.
and totally
Hey,
just
look,
add it to all the stuff
it's
that I'm
too
doing,
short a
not
time
replace.
period, to see if they've grabbed market share. At the margin, they're probably smaller, more cost-sensitive customers that will go to Sentinel One. Large enterprise customers is not an issue. Maybe CrowdStrike will have to give up a little bit of margin for a short period of time when they do renewals, just to quieten down any problems from customers. But it's not so much Sentinel One that CrowdStrike should worry about. It's Microsoft that they should worry about. I think Microsoft is pissed and they have to do something.
Maybe go down to 1 minute candles. Fuck it.
They were dragged into this and they're not happy and they're not going to be happy till and I don't put it past them to not use this to build up their own customer
Guys,
base
my
and drag some
CrowdStrike cost basis.
out of CrowdStrike. Minimally make it more difficult for them to access the kernel in some sense. CRM
CrowdStrike cost basis.
CRM is not all that much more
271.32.
If you look at their multiples,
a little bit away.
Never been able to say that in the history of CRM. It's the first time when it's coming to that.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Also has had significant AI investments for a very long time. Their Einstein platform has been there for a long time. They have the talent.
Should I keep it on the price or should I keep it on the this page?
Doing something at least within their space.
This will show you the numbers. Yeah, we'll keep it on price.
Offerings to improve efficiencies and get more out of what they do. Certainly on the cost side, it could help them. So there's a lot.
Video earnings. Come on.
Expectation on CRM these past few quarters, and I think they're going to surprise on the upside. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Perfect. Appreciate you, Monative. Market is basically closed here, closing in less than a minute. Market is now closed. Nvidia earnings 20 minutes away.
Closed.
Here we go.
It was that last one that I was about to get in that I couldn't get in. That would have been the winner, Shy. That was the one.
You're unmuted. You're unmuted.
It was 114.
This guy. What's happening there? Rookie mistake. Stock Sniper, you got your hand up. Make it quick. We got some earnings coming out. These Cloudflare earnings should be out any second now. Even Salesforce could be out. What's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple things about Nvidia. When I'm taking a look at the bull
Looks
bear
like Salesforce
premium,
is dumping. Sorry. Thought I was muted.
42.53% bull premium, 43.97 bear premium. It's just about split right down the middle on Nvidia. When I take a look at CrowdStrike, I could see 47% flat versus 45.74%.
Here we go, guys. Buckle up. Buckle up.
Just about even as well. When I take a look at CRM, we could see that there is 49.26% bull premium versus 40.98% bear premium. Slightly more people are betting on a CRM beat. But I have all of the previous reactions, open interest, and a bunch of other information posted about NVIDIA. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over because I know we're about to come out with some CrowdStrike numbers.
Micro reports.
A lot of information on my page, and taking a look at NVIDIA, we can see that we have exceptionally high
Salesforce did report earnings.
This, earnings report.
So Salesforce earnings are out. Yeah, talk about it.
No, go for it.
I don't even have the numbers. I see them, but like now we also have. Yeah, go for it.
It's unstructured still. Nobody has collated it correctly, but revenue 9.33 billion, up 8% year over year. Includes subscription and support revenue of 8.76. Within that, operating margin of 19.1%. GAAP operating margin 33.7%. RPO of 26.5 billion, up 11%. Operating cash flow of 900 million, up 10%. 4.3 billion in repurchases and 400 million in dividend payments. Guidance: third quarter revenue of 9.31 to 9.36 billion. Maintains full year revenue guidance of 37.7 to 38. The rest of it is difficult to make out.
We need to see a lot of the expectations too and how those compare. But the stock was initially moving lower, but it's nice little bounce here at 269 now. Nice move on Salesforce.
Yeah, this is my point. The expectations were pretty flat. I mean, it's easy for them.
Step down. Also, CF to step down. CFO stepping down, and so is the president. CRM. CFO's name is Amy Weaver. Guidance of. Did you talk about the guidance already or no?
If you have the expectations, how it compares, that would be good. By the way, Nvidia earnings should be out at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. We're waiting for those. We're talking about Salesforce now. But yeah, talk us through more.
So update full year non-GAAP metrics to 19.7. No, that's just non-GAAP. Okay, full year revenue guidance of 37.7 to 38 billion. That's up 8 to 9%. Before they guided for 10% in the conference call, so it's slightly below. So market expected 10%, but they guided 8 to 9% for full year revenue guidance increase.
What was their EPS and revenue? Can you read that again versus expectations?
For CRM, let me go back on top. EPS of 256, market wanted 235. Revenue of 9.33 billion, market wanted 9.23. Subscription revenue of 8.76 billion, market expected 8.7, which is a beat across the board. Services was also a beat, came in at 2.26, market wanted 2.21 billion.
Oops, what you found?
Professional services also a beat. It's down 6% year over year. They posted 561 million, but market wanted 531 million from them. Operating margin of 33.7, up from 31.6% year over year, beating estimates of 32%. Free cash flow missing estimates. It's up year over year, but market expected free cash flow of 865 million, but they reported $755 million. We also have Okta, which just came out.
Should be
about Okta.
a little bit, but we have CrowdStrike, which should be out in a second here. I'm really looking forward to that one.
You know what I'm looking forward to? Nvidia. Not sure if you guys care about that.
4:20 p.m. Eastern. Nvidia earnings. Earnings call at 5 p.m. Eastern. 4:20 p.m. Eastern.
So 16 minutes. I just posted the estimates on top again. We want revenue of higher than 30 billion. EPS of higher than 65% and gross margin of...
CrowdStrike earnings are out. Dumping. A little quick dumper there for CrowdStrike. Revenue...
No, it's up now.
There we go. Revenue 963.9 million. That's a beat.
That's a beat.
EPS, quick move check. Yeah, it's about even. What is the EPS?
EPS of $1.04. Market 1.97 cents.
Boom.
Operating income 226 million. Wanted 206.
All right, this is a lot of craziness. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat as much as I can.
But I don't want to clutter my feet my video.
Beaten. Yeah, I'm just doing those two. We got a couple more earnings that are out. We'll see. But CrowdStrike 273. I was just telling the live stream my cost basis on CrowdStrike is 271. In the money, some could say 276. Salesforce has given some of its back though. If anyone has any thoughts at all that they want to jump in, any numbers they're seeing, we could talk.
Yeah, just want to remind everyone,
that if you're a degenerate and want to trade Nvidia's earnings, and you normally trade options, there are alternatives that you could still get in the after hours. There's a
guidance from CrowdStrike is a miss. CrowdStrike sees revenue between 3.89 billion to 3.9. Market wanted 3.98 to 4.01, so should sell off a bit on that.
Well, I pinned up in the nest above.
Well,
I pinned up in the nest above. I took one of those plays. I'm here to be the enemy to everyone's Nvidia earnings. Now, just to be clear, first of all, I am 0 for 3 on these earnings plays. Second of all, this is in my competition portfolio, besides the point. But also, I own a lot of Nvidia, so I am net very long on this one. But I have a little bit of NVDQ. I don't think Nvidia is going to report bad numbers by any stretch of the imagination, but where we're priced, I think that it might come in and not impress. Like they might report like really good earnings, and they needed like blowout fantastic. We'll see. It feels like we're setting up for Nvidia to be down like 3% tomorrow. So I'm 0 for 3 on these earnings plays. I think betting around earnings is a terrible way to do this, and I'm kind of proving that all for you guys by losing money. But here's another one to track. I took some NVDQ, which is the 2x shorts. 2x shorts Nvidia.
There's also NVD, which is also a 2x short.
Guidance from CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike sees Q3 EPS of 80 cents to 81. Market wanted 96 cents. So almost a 26%.
Say that one more time, because that was actually what we were really focused on, but I don't know how much those expectations changed, you know?
I mean, it's a big mess up. The market expected EPS of 96 cents for Q3 for the guidance, but now CrowdStrike says expect 80.5 cents. Stocks still up. So they missed on top line guidance, they missed on bottom guidance, they missed on margin guidance, but the stock is still up 2.5%.
The market kind of knew that was going to happen. Monative, you got your hand up?
Yeah, across the board, we're seeing pretty underwhelming Q3 guidance and good full year guidance, which basically means most companies are expecting something magical to recover in Q4. That worries me. That's not a good thing. And remember, these guys are reporting very late. So they are already, they already have the last 3 months
still holding on.
Of the market. They've seen that already, and it's in their commentary. So expect. I'm not feeling great for Q3. It doesn't look all that good when companies reporting late or are very cautious on their Q3 guidance. Doesn't add up.
What's up, everyone?
What's up? Is the money printer going today for these Nvidia earnings?
I want to ask a question. What's Kramer position on Nvidia? I need to set my printer. I need to see what I can do.
His dog is literally named Nvidia, so he's been long for a while.
Let me disconnect my printer. Be right back.
I appreciate that, Kale. I think everyone should give the stream a like, too.
10 minutes ago, exactly.
10 minutes until these Nvidia earnings are out. Here we go. I'm freaking ready.
Almost flat now.
Day, good vibes only. Good vibes only on CrowdStrike. I need it.
The streets rating is kind of insane though. It's 4.76 out of 5. There are 64 people who go with the name. 66 buys.
We're down to just Nvidia.
And no sells.
Here we go.
And average price target is 20% higher than current prices. Because no one goes on the name.
And say I don't think CrowdStrike has a wicked move like they have for the last 4 quarters.
I didn't even hear what you said, but it sounded like it killed the conversation, so. Stock Talk. How we doing? I don't know if you have any thoughts on these numbers coming out.
Let's wait for them to come out. They're about to come out.
Well, give us some thoughts before. Say something wise. The people want to hear Stock Talk, the co-host of the space, say something. What numbers will you be watching?
The guide's going to be important. I want to know some details about the Blackwell launch. I want to know how that's going and when that'll be
able to be ramped. I want to know, if they're going to obviously beat or meet the current quarter expectations. I think the one difference between this quarter versus some of the last quarters we've been talking about, and obviously Nvidia's been a big event for us for a long time, but is the fact that it's not up a ton quarter over quarter, right? Like in the last 3 months, the stock is up what? Let me pull up the chart right here. In the last 3 months, the stock is up 13.5%, right? Compared to some of the other quarterly results we've seen for Nvidia, that's a little bit of a lower bar. And so, I think if they give us a little bit of a beat on the forward guide, I think that could lead to some upside here. Obviously, the danger is the potential air pocket in Blackwell. That's been something that a lot of analysts have talked about. It's not something that is endangering like the overall AI narrative or endangering the overall Nvidia story, but it is something that could be a near-term headwind. And the street's been
trying to balance a
divided
lot.
on it.
Numbers are not out. I'm just getting ready for it.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, I am so sorry. Keep going. I thought I was muted.
If anyone cares about the firm, stocks are 15 after hours.
You want the honest truth? I was talking to the live stream and thought I was muted. Keep going, Stock Talk. I'm sorry.
Well, you're good. I was just saying, the street's been somewhat divided on that topic of if there's going to be an air pocket for Blackwell or not. If there's going to be a top line air pocket, because the whole idea of like the Osborne effect of some of these hyperscalers or some of these
we're
massive,
5 minutes away. I'm so excited.
Purchasers of GPUs waiting for Blackwell, that was a concern. And if the release gets delayed, then that air pocket kind of gets forwarded, or I should say extended, potentially another quarter or another couple of months. And so that's the main risk, I think, the main forward risk that could present itself on these earnings. But if it doesn't, and they don't show any kind of
bull or bear, let me know. One word, bull or bear. How are we feeling for these Nvidia earnings? How do we think it will do following it? Where will the stock be? Okay, 7 minutes away. I am getting very excited. I may need to rotate some people up here a little bit. I am sorry for that. We will keep it going. Anyone else have any kind of final words as we're getting up to the final stretch here? Shy, anything you want to add in?
We still have about 6 minutes, right, Greg? What were those affirmed numbers?
What were the affirmed numbers?
Firm is expected, so firm says it will be profitable on GAAP basis by Q4, so that's the main thing. Like I'm going through the earnings right now, but pretty decent numbers.
All right, let's look. Oh, a lot of bulls. Lot of bulls. Bull. Same person. Bull, bear, bull, bear, bullish, bear.
Market expected 33.
75% bull, 65% bull.
Q1 is expected to be.
Wait, Ian, the live stream's not buffering, right? Or we're waiting.
7.118. For Q1 revenue, we guided 650 million. Market wanted 631 million, so pretty good numbers overall. But the main thing that stands out is they expect to be profitable on GAAP basis, like Q4, like I said before.
Which is illogical.
But I was reading a lot of notes about Nvidia earnings. One thing that stood out for me is one analyst said all these mega companies, all these mega cap companies, they have 3 ways to disperse capital right now: buybacks, second is dividends, third is buying the GPUs. Stood out to me.
All right, guys, here we go. All right, I don't see logical requesting, so we can try and make some space. You can keep doing that. I'm sorry. People are just going to have to get shifted. Hamid, you're joining us up here. We got these numbers coming up, so we're in like the quick rapid fire mode. You got any initial thoughts of what you'll be watching for these Nvidia earnings?
No, I just want to see if they hit their numbers and how the market's reacting to it. So I'll be watching closely.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to be live for the entire numbers coming out. Then we're going to listen to the earnings call live on here. I'll be doing that on an earnings hub. Shout out to that. Gerg, is that you unmuted?
That's me. HP also just came out.
HP. What did HP do? We got a minute or two for that. We're waiting.
We do guidance of 335 to 345. Market expected 345.
Here's the numbers we're coming in with Nvidia. These aren't the numbers yet. We're waiting for it, but.
3.1, 1.6 billion. Market wanted
I'm
to
excited.
so that's a beat. Excuse me.
No one cares about
Revenue
HP.
off 2.4%. Market expected 13.37. They posted 13.52. So that's a beat.
Did you
Overall,
just
free cash
disconnect?
flow
Did you
went-
just connect from two headphones, or disconnect from headphones? Big change.
Disconnect from headphones.
This is so much better.
Is this better?
So much better.
Really?
You sound beautiful now.
Well, it's Gerg,
Headphones
so
just
still subpar, but you know, it is what it is.
Net revenue came in at 13.52 billion. Market expected 13.27. Victoria's Secret also just came out. Numbers in line. I care about them. Other people don't, so I won't talk about them.
Yeah, we're waiting for Nvidia. Come
Earnings.
on, that's it. Nvidia. So here's the question. I want to know, and I would love for everyone down below to participate, and I can look at all this stuff, so I will. Bull or bear? That's all I want to know, and it's Nvidia stock from current levels 125. Where does it open trading tomorrow?
Yo, everyone is bulled out for Nvidia.
I'm gonna
so
say
that
it.
Doesn't end up.
Pinned up in the nest above. I think lower. I think we have a nice little pop maybe, but I ultimately think we're down by 3 to 5%. Would be my thought. Down in the Spaces chat, that purple 88 in the bottom right. Everyone just write one word, bull or bear, and that's it. I'd be writing bear. Just saying.
Okay, for the people who just came on the spaces, Evan has a 2x long position in Nvidia that he just bought, correct?
2x inverse.
So
Yeah,
you
if
fucking
you,
go down.
if you want 2x long, the ticker's NVDL. If you
Yeah.
want 2x short, it's
Guys,
NVD.
just to be clear, and Evan has 100% record of being wrong.
Yes.
For earnings moves.
That is true. And
Like if the stock goes up, the prophecy stays true. You know, like.
I am 0 for 3 so far. I'm looking to maybe make it 1 for 4. Gambling around earnings is an unprofitable way.
Important question though: if Evan and Kramer have opposite views, which one do you go with?
I would
Some could say I'm the new Kramer.
More than Kramer. Like, you know, I trust Evan's inverseness more than Kramer.
Yeah, it's got 100% success rate so far.
Evan's inverse. Well, we need a reverse Evan then, or inverse Evan ticker or something.
I'm freaking ready, guys, though. This is going to be... We got 1 minute left. We're up to like 7,000 people in here. There's a lot of energy for it, and that feels like the total environment.
The final time, the estimates. Revenue estimates of 28.9 billion. Guidance expected of 31.9 billion. Gross margin of 75.5%.
It's wicking up a little right now.
Income 18.9 billion, and market expects EPS of 65 cents. But everyone knows it's going to be a beat. But the thing that matters is the guidance. Wall Street expects 31.9, but anything below 34 will, I think, send the stock lower.
It's moving higher right now, but I don't think this is real. I haven't seen any numbers crossing.
We have 20 people, 7,000 people live, which is pretty easy. I expected more, to be honest, from Nvidia, but...
Yeah, light work. It's pumping, 128. I'm just watching the stock chart. 1 minute charts initiated.
Let's see.
Any movement now hasn't been released
420.
on the terminal. Let me double
Little
check.
move lower, dumping. Nope, going all over the place.
It's on.
Yeah,
It's
I see.
on.
$30 billion of revenue, beating expectations of 28.7 billion. And then EPS of non-GAAP 68 cents. 68 cents.
It's 30.04 actually on Bloomberg for revenue.
You round down.
30.04.
All right, let's check back on the stock. Dump it a little bit. 123, 122.
Did data center miss? That came in at 26.3. I felt like that was
data center can't miss. Let me double check.
124. Okay.
Data center market expected
25.
billion.
Okay, so it's good.
All right, we're moving back.
Okay, 50 billion buyback from Nvidia. 50 billion.
Really? Oh shit. Yeah, here we go. Board of Directors approved an additional $50 billion share buyback without expiration.
$50 billion is crazy.
Here we go.
Yeah, Apple did more, but whatever. We don't talk about it. As an Apple boy, I never bring it up.
The guidance is not the best.
Go ahead and pin the EPS and revenue beat there, the numbers exact, if you need it.
Yeah, what's the forward guide here? Revenue is expected to be $32.5 billion. That seems pretty good.
Any concerns about the margins? Quarter-over-quarter down 3.3%, year-over-year up 5%. I don't have any of these estimates. I'm just looking at
Okay, I have the numbers in front of me. Nvidia guidance is $32.5 billion plus minus 2%. Market expected $31.9 billion, so that's a beat.
$50 billion share buyback. Does the market care about share buybacks?
Yeah.
I think they do. Like, where else do you deploy $50 billion in annual free cash flow? Like, they can't spend it all on R&D, like, there's a limit.
It's true.
And they can't do M&A. Government is up there, like other companies. I told you, two options right now. M&A is really, really tough to do big M&A right now. So what do? You have two options. One, you do more buybacks, which everyone else is doing. Second is raise dividends. Third is buy Nvidia chips. But what do you do when you're Nvidia? You just have two options.
Yeah, there's only so many startups you can buy when you're talking about $50 billion. I wonder how quickly they will deploy this. What did it say? $7.5 billion they had bought back this past quarter? Is that what I read?
I didn't
Returns.
take a look at that for you, but they spend not a lot of money. Even though they had the big authorization before, they barely spent any in the last 2 quarters.
Okay, so what it is, during the first half of 2025, Nvidia returned $15.4 billion to shareholders. Both shares repurchased and dividends. I would imagine the majority of that is share repurchases. The number might be closer to 5.
Tiny dividend.
Yeah, and they only raised it because of the stock split made it, and I think you can't have a dividend under a cent. So they didn't even want to move it. Nvidia moving lower now, 123 here. Guys, did someone say before this that they're taking a 2x short ETF heading into the Nvidia earnings? I'm not gonna say I'm not saying 1 for 4 just yet. It's way too early, but
I was gonna say,
whispers.
It's a little too early for earnings to call this a win.
Guys, whispers are being had that Evan might be going 1 for 4. That's like an average MLB player.
Nvidia now down 4%.
What?
Blackwell production Blackwell is expected to ramp up in Q4. I know a lot of people were, talking about that before the earnings came out.
Evan, how long?
Yeah, so Mana, did that push out then? Did they push out the expectation for Blackwell, if you're there?
It doesn't look like if it's coming late Q4, then it's a small delay. It's nothing. It's just that means they worked it out.
6%. Here we go.
Evan, are you allowed to sell your thing today since it's in a competition account?
What'd you say? No, I'm not allowed to sell it today. I do have to hold for a week. We'll see. Rough times, but we take the good with the bad. $50 billion share buyback. All right, that's pretty big. So is Apple still the largest? But what's like? I know Apple is actually like first, second, third, or fourth. But is this the largest share buyback program that isn't done by Apple?
I would assume no. Google has done a few 50. I've seen 50 from Google, 50 from Microsoft. If I'm correct. Even Facebook announced a $50 billion too in 2021 when the stock slumped. If you remember that, and we're down 8% now.
All right, we are staying on these earnings. We're going to be live streaming the earnings call. Earnings calls are really important. You don't want to make your full judgments without anything. Honestly, gambling around earnings probably isn't the best play. As a long-term investor, as I personally am, despite that one small, tiny trade that I took or whatever, you have plenty of time to react. And I like to take my time on any decisions I make. But we're going to be waiting for the call. That is at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can be listening with us. We're going to keep doing it. Mr. Stock Talk, now that the numbers have come out, we got any comments to make?
Yeah, I'm looking through them right now. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any evidence of Blackwell being an issue. Even according to these things I'm seeing right now, these headlines, says they expect to ship several $1 billion of Blackwell in Q4. Hold on here. Continued acceleration
We'll see, we got
Hopper
time. It's coming back up.
architecture
Nvidia coming
purchases
back up.
as customers gear up for Blackwell. We've already shipped Blackwell samples to our major customers. Increased shipments anticipated in the second half.
If you guys are in the live stream for the first time, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're gonna be listening to the earnings call live in here, so make sure you're hanging out with us and stand by.
In terms of like the narrative here, and I'm
moving higher.
Any sort of concerns about like an air pocket or anything. I mean, as far as the actual earnings go, I mean, pretty good. Obviously, beat on the top and bottom line, beat on the guide. Yes, I don't see too much to be concerned about here. I mean, it may just be selling off because these aren't as, I guess, exciting as people are used to in terms of the analyst expectations versus the actual results. But I'm seeing Nvidia now down only about 1.7% in the after-hour session, so it looks like it's recovering a lot of that move.
That headline makes me think that, whatever the problem was, they've managed most of it. It's probably a month delay or so at best. So, again, he's gonna call out substantial, full year Blackwell revenue. If he does that, then there's no issue at all.
Yeah, exactly. If they're saying that they're going to do several billion in Blackwell in Q4, then it's a nothing burger, because that was the entire concern, that they wouldn't get shipments out by Q4. So they're directly saying we will sell several $1 billion worth of Blackwell in Q4. Like, there's no more direct.
Where did they say that? Do we know where they said that?
Look at I mean, I'm just reading some news sources and reading headlines, but I don't know exactly where it is. I imagine it's in the earnings release. I'm just reading my news feed.
I don't even see the earnings release.
No, I see it out on some of the news wires. I just haven't seen that part.
Blackwell production ramp is scheduled to begin in the fourth quarter and continue into fiscal year 2026. We expect to ship several $1 billion worth of Blackwell products in Q4. That's what it says explicitly. Hopper demand remains strong. Shipments expected to increase in the second half of fiscal year 2025. So, I imagine that Street Insiders are making these headlines.
The last 10 years revenue of Nvidia, according to ChatGPT, it's a 40% CAGR. Like, started at $1 billion. I know Evan does stuff like this.
So you're stealing my thunder? Is that what you're saying?
I think I beat you to your punch.
Beat you? He sounds so, like, satisfied by that. It's okay. I respect it. I respect the hustle. So, tell us more. Damn, can't even explain it. Nvidia is one of those companies Nvidia is one of these companies that has a weird kind of earnings cycle. So technically, this is their fiscal year 2025. Q2. They're a full year ahead, which is one of the most random things.
Yeah, they're in the future. So this is still Q2 that's reporting, and then they're saying deliveries in Q4. So does that mean their version of Q4? I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Everything will be whatever they make it. And also, I believe their quarter... When does their quarter end? Let me double check. Because it's not June 30th. It is July 28th. So interesting. Kevin, do we have you up here?
Yeah.
You have any thoughts you want to add into the conversation? We always love hearing what Kevin has to say. There was a lot of other companies that reported earnings. So I don't know if you have any thoughts to add to the mix. Maybe thoughts on the reaction. Let me double check back into it. We are around 120 right now. So it's hanging out around, but we're still waiting for this earnings call at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, Kevin, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, everybody kind of really covered it. It was really Blackwell. I mean, I feel like that commentary is kind of high level, so maybe we'll get a little bit more clarity on the conference call, but it might ease a little bit of fears. Only being down, $5 before the conference call itself, I think is a win for it. They tend to actually really overperform when it comes to their commentary, and I would expect them to do the same here. So I wouldn't say this is the end-all, be-all. Seeing some of the other players move in the space, Dell down, obviously, AMD down, obviously, but this is a good report, and we're just trying to right-size what the expectations should be moving forward. But once again, I think the conference call is going to be fine. I think Salesforce had a nice little report increasing their guidance when it comes to operating margin and cash flow margin. I think that was pretty good. CrowdStrike, nothing burger for.
I can't hear Kevin anymore. Am I the only one who can't hear Kevin now? Would make sense. Does anyone hear me? Am I talking to no one? Am I talking to everyone? I can't hear anyone. Great job. Well, someone else is should be running us right now. That's super unfortunate. I cannot hear anything. As you guys can hear, you cannot hear anything either. All right.
Yelling at Evan in the text that.
All right. I think we're good. Kevin. We're good. Continue on. Love you all. I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
That was it. That was all I had. Once again, nothing too exciting listening to the conference call. Are we playing the conference call on the Spaces?
Yes, sir. We are going to be listening to the earnings call live on here. I'm going to be streaming it through Earnings Hub. I'll actually get a link up there if you guys want to listen like directly through where I'm listening. But yes, we will be listening to that live on the Spaces today. We have any?
Other than the slight gross margin decrease, there's really nothing terrible or bad or pullback in this report so far. That I can see so far. 3.2% quarter over quarter. Yeah, from coming from 79% to 75%, it's not that bad. So this is expected, and it'll probably keep decreasing at a slightly faster pace every quarter. So I mean, looks like they've managed Blackwell problems very well. At least that's what it looks like. I still want to hear what Jensen has to say about it, because there's going to be a lot of questions around that. But whatever it was, they have figured out most of it, if not all of it. So it looks like a slight delay, but nothing that's going to require them to take down full year guidance.
What are you kind of expecting this earnings call to look like a little bit, Monative? You have any thoughts on some questions they might get? You know, how they might answer some of it?
Well,
dude, Spaces.
That news story the last 1 month about, significant Blackwell delays and all that shit. If we didn't have that, there would be no issue, right? People would be talking about, okay, let's nitpick this. Why is your margin down 3%? Other than that, it was a non-event. Everybody expected them to have done well in the looking back for the quarter. It was always going to be how much are you.
It's always a long,
but now
it's always a short.
Before we got this, the question was all around how long the Blackwell delay was. Question is, if he can confirm that he's solid for that, and he still expects significant Blackwell. The good thing was all he said was significant Blackwell revenue this year. Now, if he's calling out, certain number of billions, then that's a positive. That's further. He'll still be asked for clarification. What was the problem? Why was there that news out? If he says, that was just rumor, we had a minor issue and we sorted it out in the normal stream of, a release process, then this is nothing. It'll hiccup and just go right back when market sentiment improves. But this is a non-story. There's really nothing bad here.
Awesome. Monative, I appreciate you. Shy, do we have you up here still?
Yes, sir.
Can you, I would love to hear your thoughts on kind of, we're getting a little background noise. But what you're kind of watching for on this earnings call here that we have coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern, some of the questions that you might think that they might be going, and if you were asking a question, what you would ask.
Sorry, it's saying my mic is on, but it's not working.
We do hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so what I'm looking for specifically is, like, again, the earnings was great, but essentially everything was in line on their guides. So I want some narrative around that, because is this a combination of estimates just increase excessively leading up to this print, or is this a Blackwell issue where they're delaying it 3 months?
All right, we do have the earnings call coming up in a little bit.
That's the cause of an immediate in-line expectations, but that revenue recognition will happen in next year, and that's going to be short-lived, this little pullback it's experiencing. So that's some commentary I'm looking out for. And also, I do want to see if they're going to recognize any Blackwell revenue for this year. I know in the previous earnings call they said that there's going to be significant in Q4. That's clearly not to be the case anymore, so I want to see what he's envisioning is going to be pushed back to Q1 next year, or is there still going to be reflected in Q4 and they're just playing the conservative side? So I think a lot of commentary on why their in-line guidance, why they got it in line. And I know it's like crazy to say like their revenue expectations is so like it's still so aggressive, and in line is causing them to pull back like 6 or 7%, but they've been providing godly numbers, especially on the guides up. And before their earnings, they said like their Q3 guides needs to be above 33 billion. And Ivana mentioned that the buy side was actually expecting 35 billion. So this was a big miss on Q3 revenue, and there needs to be some kind of narrative behind why that is.
Well, so they are going to recognize some Blackwell revenue. I don't know. I would just say this company's not normal. So the street's going to have to get, and I think Monitor and I, we've had this conversation before, and I'll be completely frank. The street's going to have to get their shit together and just understand that there's no way in hell that they're going to be able to maintain the growth levels that they've seen over the last year. So at some point, these analysts are also going to have to kind of like become a little bit more realistic, and that's just my opinion. But that's, if you think that they're going to continue at the rate that they've been going, I highly doubt that. I don't care how many products, that's just my 2 cents, right?
Yeah,
so, if the market's
not
going
to mention the compares are
We listen to the earnings call here.
ridiculously tough.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, if you're a shareholder and you're going into it every quarter thinking that they're going to exceed,
Guys, the link that I'm putting in the chat now is where I listen to the earnings calls.
25% surprises to the upside on top line guides, like pare back those expectations. That's not. I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be
go in, make an account. It's worth it.
And
It's
the
free.
competition will be in this space too. It's tough, man. I think it was actually a pretty decent report. Nothing of a banger, right, to the upside, nothing of a banger to the downside, and you never know. Conference call, it might bring up something new, but I think it's more bullish than bearish for the conference call.
We're pulling our way back up here.
I know some of you were saying you didn't know where they were mentioning that in the fourth quarter they expect to ship several billions of dollars in Blackwell revenue. It's in the CFO commentary.
Yeah, it took me a little. I ended up finding it. But we're here. Here we are. Here we go. Nvidia is getting close back up to even. Jeff, I see we got you joining us up here. You're a big supply chain guy. I don't know if there's any insights you have and could share about what you're seeing with these Nvidia earnings. There's comments about Blackwell. I know a lot of people were looking to that going forward. Jeff, you got any thoughts to add in on Nvidia as we're waiting for this earnings call in 20 minutes?
Yeah, sure. I've done procurement business with Nvidia before too, as a partner with them in the smartphone space. So I do understand these transitions well. I don't understand the talk or concern about Blackwell guidance. Doesn't make any sense to me. When you have an existing product line that is literally sold out, and normally existing products start this trend downwards, and companies need these new product injections
210 watch hours
up and to drive demand.
Let's go.
Well, all they're doing,
I'll be back in a minute though. I'm gonna leave you with this guy.
Is they're taking the cost structure down, they put volume behind it, and people continue. These hyperscalers need Hopper. They need to plug them in. They need it. They need growth. They need it now. They're all upping their CapEx guidance. So this transition to Blackwell is going to happen. These things, this isn't one chip. This is a series of things. And there's fixes that they can do in software. There's fixes that they'll tape out at different times. Customers are still getting their samples. So I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding about things. It's not like it's a widget and it just starts on one day, and if it doesn't start on that one day, it's a problem and customers aren't going to take the old stuff. They're in a unique position where customers will literally take everything that they have right now. So I just think this Blackwell thing is just totally misunderstood. Just like last year in November, the China situation was totally misunderstood. And, I think this is being misunderstood at this point. But that's fine. That's what makes a market.
Perfect. Appreciate those thoughts there, Jeff. As always, if anyone wants to jump into the conversation, please feel free to do it. Appreciate everyone for joining in. You guys should make sure you're following the speakers up here. I'm grinding up to trying to get to 500,000 followers before the end of this year. We'll see if we can do it. We need more Nvidia earnings. Look at Gerg, who was a co-host who dropped off, put up in the nest above. We'll see. But Stock Talk, I want to bring you into the conversation and hear kind of your thoughts on what you're listening for on this earnings call coming up here. I've kind of thrown at people, what we're maybe expecting the questions to be around, how Jensen Huang might end up talking about this, spinning it in a different way. And just how you're feeling about as we're heading into the earnings call, which we're going to be listening to on here.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same answer I gave you earlier when I was talking about the report. But, I'll reiterate it. I think the thing that matters here is the follow-through on Blackwell. I think the comments we've already seen in the report, to me, quelled most of those concerns. The fact that they're going to be shipping several $1 billion worth of product in Q4 of Blackwell, I think that
How has the lag been? Has there been any lag on the spaces? Let me know. Has there been any lag?
Commentary around the ramp up
I don't
of
think
Blackwell. That's important. I'll be paying attention to that. I think there'll probably be some additional commentary about.
I think I might have found out how to do this.
Their next product line and potentially when that might be released or what they're looking at in terms of like an iteration schedule or a refresh schedule. Last quarter, Jensen talked about them wanting to refresh every 6 months to 1 year. That's a very, very aggressive iteration cycle, and so I think they'll speak to that a little bit as well. They'll probably talk a little bit about the Hopper program. There's some commentary already that the demand there is still really good. I imagine they'll talk a little bit about their expanding customer base, which I imagine is happening behind the scenes to allow for this type of earnings growth to continue. And so they'll probably talk a little bit about that, the expansion of the customer base beyond hyperscalers and, these massive customers that we are generally focused on. Kind of into a wider base of customers.
5 p.m. Eastern, by the way, is the time the call is.
So yeah, those are kind of a couple of things I'll be watching for. I expect it to be a good call. They've have a good track record of having good calls, so I expect it to be a good call. The stocks recovered pretty substantially here. It was down about 7-8% at the lows in in post-market, and is now down just 3%. And so I imagine that call can continue to move the stock. So we will see what they say. But yeah, those are kind of the main areas I'll be focused on: Blackwell, expanding customer base, iteration schedule, refresh schedule. Yeah, those are kind of like the main things.
All right, we're looking forward to this call. 15 minutes here. Calls normally go for an hour. Normally there's 15 to 30 minutes of them talking about, Big Lots is considering bankruptcy. Normally there's 15 to 30 minutes of like a pre-planned speech that they have, and then 35, 40 minutes of Q&A after. Generally, I found that the Q&A, unless there's a big announcement coming off in the first half of it, the Q&A is where you get some big movements. Now, the fact that Nvidia does report their forward guidance already means that maybe, there's certain companies that report their forward guidance on the earnings call, so maybe we expect a little bit of bigger movers there, but one word or anything like that could change some stuff. But I do see we got a hand up from Jeff. Jeff, you got any thoughts to throw in?
I'm just going to make a quick comment. There's this assumption that, trying to understand the Blackwell situation, like there's an assumption that the hyperscalers can wait, or any meaningful size customers can actually wait for Blackwell and delay purchases. I don't think that's the case. If you've heard their commentary on these calls, or the bigger risk, I think Pachai was quoted, bigger risk would be underinvest. Multiple have been quoted saying the bigger risk is underinvesting at this point. So there may be some movement, but in general, and it's totally compatible, backwards compatible. So I just think they're going to manage this transition pretty smoothly. I think they're going to tell you how they're doing it, maybe a little bit more details on the call, but I think there's an assumption that people can wait, and I think that assumption is misinformed.
If whoever's on the Stocks on Spaces account is here, you can accept co-host. I can bring someone else up. Would love to. Monative, you have any thoughts on that? Kind of talking about, Jeff was saying there about there being kind of a game clock on this, and these companies have to continue to keep up if they don't want to get left behind. And there's kind of an urgency on it.
Well, look, if the delay is really short, I don't think there's going to be any issue. They'll just keep going. If it was anything more significant than that question comes up, I think it's moot right now. If they manage through this very well and there are sampling, this is a non-issue.
Hey, I got a question real quick from either for Jeff or whoever else can answer it. So we always talk about the hyperscalers, but what about the sovereigns out there, the government that were trying to buy these products? Do you think that's going to be a huge tailwind for Nvidia, and who are going to be those buyers, or who are we seeing as those buyers right now, if any?
Well, I think they are a great market for whatever.
That's a good question.
Capacity they can squeeze out of H100, H200. In the press release, they called out Japan as building a H200 cluster. So I expect the rest of those people to be. I think they're far less cutting edge sensitive than the hyperscalers will be. So. There's going to be plenty of takers for H100, H200 among the second tier of buyers, which are just starting up, right? Most of the buying so far has primarily been the very large players, hyperscalers, large clouds. So, we've not even seen the beginnings of demand from the rest of the world, and sovereign clouds might be the first large one to pick up. Products that while others shift to the newer generation.
That is a really interesting question, and I'm sorry if I'm talking over someone, but that's definitely where the question has been asked of what's next, how much can these companies really spend. This sovereign AI theme has been one that has picked up a little bit more in the last couple of quarters, maybe years, I don't know, but Jensen always brings up some different countries and is meeting with some different people, so I think that would be actually a very productive question to have asked on the earnings call, and maybe even would. I imagine if they get asked what are you excited about, Kevin, I think that's the direction he would end up going, and has continued to go on, and maybe they're already kind of moving on to the next thing and part that they're excited for, but as this market becomes less supply constrained and it maybe starts to balance out a little bit more, their kind of profit margins might go down. But I wonder if we continue to see more and more companies being able to kind of invest and use these Nvidia chips, and if that's kind of a theme that we have going forward. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure this high profit margin area is the better spot to be, but we'll see what it can become. Logical, got you up here. Sorry if you were maybe waiting for a while. Space a little bit rough today. How you doing? I don't hear him. Classic.
No, I can hear you.
All right, let's move some stuff around, team. So, what's happening now? Logical Thesis is talking on Spaces, and we cannot hear him. Sometimes Spaces just randomly does stuff like this, which is very unfortunate.
Yes, the call is live, but I don't hear anything. Any hearing the call start off?
Not quite yet. Oh, cool. So I wasn't able to hear Logical there, so I didn't know he was going down and coming back up. Logical, testing. How we doing? Gotcha. Mic check.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, I gotcha. What's up?
Fantastic. Yeah, man. Interesting day for sure. I felt like throughout the day, a lot of anxiety in the sense that even though we had a red day, it was pretty low volume overall. And, Nvidia obviously pretty well telegraphed that they're going to have a huge beat because we've heard, and recently with that Gavin Baker podcast with, I can't pronounce his last name, but Patrick, he was talking about how, the internal messaging at Google was, we're going to invest, we're going to win this race even if we go bankrupt doing it. And so clearly that's all revenue and earnings for Nvidia. And, for the near term, it doesn't seem like that's going to stop, especially because they are the leader with the leading product. So, that's why I don't bother owning or trading like the most popular names personally, because I feel like there's just so much coverage on them, right? Like everyone is paying attention, everybody knows every number. And I mean, besides, obviously last year we had the big surprise in the same quarter where they, raised their guide by 50%, which is clearly took everyone off guard. But I think now we're just kind of expecting that they're gonna have a very strong results in the next cycle. And so pretty well telegraphed. Seeing the stock where it is makes a ton of sense to me. Like in these scenarios, it always feels like the option sellers are going to win. So that's clearly what happened. CrowdStrike, I don't really have much comments on this. I'm sure Shai discussed it in detail. I missed it. But for me, I was long Affirm. So having a great after hours. And I think there is clear strength in the rate cut narrative and the rate cut cycle plays. So I'm just really excited about, them showing those results. Stock Talk, I saw you posted the Affirm results. I retweeted it. Dude, I mean, those are some epic numbers. Just beat EPS, beat revenue, raise the revenue guide. I mean, everything headed towards GAAP profitability. I mean, what more do you want to see from this company? I actually averaged up in after hours because I think based on those results, it's possibly time that, these things really start breaking out of their downtrend and based on actual news and fundamentals changes.
I know I'm not on mute. I'm talking over them.
I'm really impressed by those results and happy to have probably the name of the day that was probably overlooked because Nvidia and living in the shadow of Nvidia and CrowdStrike on a day like today. Really nice.
450 concurrent. Crazy. All right, we're at about 6 minutes into the call. I investigated Monative, and it does look like it just has some music going on before, so we're chilling. Still waiting about those 6 minutes probably till it starts. Stock Talk. He called you out on some Affirm thoughts. Anything to add?
I don't want to dive too much into Affirm. I imagine there's not too many people out here listening for it, but yeah.
Oh, damn, it's up. It's up a little bit. Fair enough. What's up, Shai?
Have you guys talked too much about CrowdStrike, or is it more Nvidia?
Give me the quick thoughts on CrowdStrike.
Fucking huge.
Huge.
Clearly, it was the FUD was absolute, just that FUD. I know they might lose some businesses, new logos over the course of a couple of years, but you're really not seeing that in the numbers. And you didn't see it in SentinelOne yesterday. You didn't see it from Palo Alto a week ago. They guided down slightly, in my opinion. They went from 32% growth top line to 27%. So that's still 85% is elite. Their ARR is identical to SentinelOne's, but guess what? SentinelOne doesn't have those 32% free cash flow margins. SentinelOne doesn't qualify for the Rule 40 score, but CrowdStrike still qualifies, and then some at 65. That's their score. So it is absolutely nuts. Their earnings, they clearly, the read-through on their guidance, it was a lot was slightly lower. It's 2% lower on their consensus. That's a huge W because even Ivana mentioned like the channel checks that she had, it was a 5% below consensus, and we only got 1.5. And the EPS is the big, probably the most heartburn in this report. Their guidance was, I think it was like 20% lower in their EPS, and their full year was 8% lower. But I think that's just indicating that they're clearly giving they're giving discounts to new customers or customers that threaten to leave, and that's affecting their profitability. But I really do think if that's the case, this is so short-lived because it takes such a long time to get out of CrowdStrike's products. I don't know what Elon was saying, that we're now out of CrowdStrike from our system. Like that, it's not the case. It doesn't happen in an afternoon. Like that's just Elon being Elon. I'm an Elon fanboy, but that was just ridiculous. Delusional to think that you can eliminate CrowdStrike from his ecosystem that quickly. Either way, I think you're seeing that the revenue is essentially in line, and those customers who threaten to leave are staying, and they're just giving a discount to the new customers, which will be short-lived. And this is proving that this outage, this Y2K event, is going to be temporary, and the long-term thesis is intact on CrowdStrike. The now biggest question is, how do you re-rate CrowdStrike? Because I believe that they don't belong with a 20% premium valuation of Palo Alto, probably in line. But if they can maintain a 27% year revenue growth and top side, and like have a 25% CAGR for the next couple years.
All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt that for a minute. We're going to be listening to the Nvidia earnings call. Let's lower this for a minute. We're going to be listening to the Nvidia earnings call in about 2 minutes on here, live on the Spaces. I'm going to be doing it on our Earnings Hub. Shout out to that. Join me in the chat. Say hello in that Earnings Hub chat. I'm using that all the time. But for the next hour, that's what we're going to be listening to, if you guys are wondering. Jensen Huang coming up, sharing his thoughts. Earnings calls are super important to listen to. Make sure, if you guys enjoy this type of thing and want me to keep doing these live streams, do more of them, the best way to support that and see them and do all that stuff going forward is to subscribe to the channel. We are currently at 4,578 subscribers. I think we can keep going up. Shout out to that. This earnings call is starting in about 2 minutes here. Awesome. Sorry about that. Emp, it says he's connecting up here. I don't know if he's up here or not. Testing mic check. No worries. All right, we got this earnings call starting in about 2 minutes here. I'm talking over Wolf, aren't I?
No.
You have any... Hello, Wolf. How are you doing? Nice. All right, well, I'm going to keep listening to this Nvidia earnings call, and I'll help us get ready with it, I guess. It's still just music. Come say hello in the Earnings Hub chat. Or my YouTube chat.
On my way.
And so far, Nvidia is...
With me real quick. Type in Earnings Hub. Do you have to have an account to type in chat?
You know what? I assume so, yes. Let me pin some stuff up
Alright,
top.
type in earningshub.com if you're in the audience, and then make a quick account. It takes 2 seconds, and then click on it. It's labeled red. Hit live, listen to 2025 earnings call, and then comment your favorite vegetable in the chat.
Yeah, we're going to be listening to this earnings call live on here, so...
Comment your GPU.
But this call should be starting any second now. I have it up. I am listening. We got a bunch of people in here. Yeah. Nvidia currently at 120 heading into this call. A couple seconds away from this one. If you guys haven't already, make sure you are following all of the speakers.
Good afternoon. My name is Abby, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to NVIDIA's second quarter earnings call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during that time, simply press the star key, followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star 1 a second time. Thank you. And Mr. Stuart Stecker, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the second quarter of fiscal 2025. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I would like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the third quarter of fiscal 2025. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It cannot be reproduced or transcribed without prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of risks, significant risks, and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, August 28, 2024, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. Let me highlight an upcoming event for the financial community. We will be attending the Goldman Sachs Communacopia and Technology Conference on September 11th in San Francisco, where Jensen will participate in a keynote fireside chat. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our third quarter of fiscal 2025 is scheduled for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Stuart. Q2 was another record quarter. Revenue of $30 billion was up 15% sequentially and up 122% year-on-year, and well above our outlook of $28 billion. Starting with data center. Data center revenue of $26.3 billion was a record, up 16% sequentially and up 154% year-on-year, driven by strong demand for NVIDIA Hopper GPU computing and our networking platforms. Compute revenue grew more than 2.5x. Networking revenue grew more than 2x from the last year. Cloud service providers represented roughly 45% of our data center revenue, and more than 50% stemmed from the consumer, internet, and enterprise companies. Customers continue to accelerate their Hopper architecture purchases while gearing up to adopt Blackwell. Key workloads driving our data center growth include generative AI, model training and inferencing, video, image, and text data, pre- and post-processing with CUDA and AI workloads, synthetic data generation, AI-powered recommender systems, SQL and vector database processing as well. Next-generation models will require 10 to 20 times more compute to train with significantly more data. The trend is expected to continue. Over the trailing 4 quarters, we estimate that inference drove more than 40% of our data center revenue. CSPs, consumer internet companies, and enterprises benefit from the incredible throughput and efficiency of NVIDIA's inference platform. Demand for NVIDIA is coming from frontier model makers, consumer internet services, and tens of thousands of companies and startups building generative AI applications for consumers, advertising, education, enterprise and healthcare, and robotics. Developers desire NVIDIA's rich ecosystem and availability in every cloud. CSPs appreciate the broad adoption of NVIDIA and are growing their NVIDIA capacity given the high demand. NVIDIA H200 platform began ramping in Q2, shipping to large CSPs, consumer internet, and enterprise companies. The NVIDIA H200 builds upon the strength of our Hopper architecture and offering over 40% more memory bandwidth compared to the H100. Our data center revenue in China grew sequentially in Q2 and is a significant contributor to our data center revenue. As a percentage of total data center revenue, it remains below levels seen prior to the imposition of export controls. We continue to expect the China market to be very competitive going forward. The latest round of MLPerf inference benchmarks highlighted NVIDIA's inference leadership, with both NVIDIA Hopper and Blackwell platforms combining to win gold medals on all tests. For building AI factories and data centers. With the NVIDIA MGX modular reference architecture, our OEMs and ODM partners are building more than 100 Blackwell-based systems designed quickly and cost-effectively. The NVIDIA Blackwell platform brings together multiple GPU, CPU, DPU, NVLink switch, chips, systems, and the next generation of AI across the cases, industries, and countries. The NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 system with the 5th generation NVLink enables all 72 GPUs to act as a single GPU and deliver up to 30 times faster inference for LLMs workloads and unlocking the ability to run trillion parameter models in real time. Hopper demand is strong and Blackwell is widely sampling. We executed a change to the Blackwell GPU mass to improve production yields. Blackwell production ramp is scheduled to begin in the fourth quarter and continue into fiscal year 26. In Q4, we expect to ship several $billion in Blackwell revenue. Hopper shipments are expected to increase in the second half of fiscal 2025. Hopper supply and availability have improved. Demand for Blackwell platforms is well above supply, and we expect this to continue into next year. Networking revenue increased 16% sequentially. Our Ethernet for AI revenue, which includes our Spectrum-X end-to-end Ethernet platform, doubled sequentially, with hundreds of customers adopting our Ethernet offerings. Spectrum-X has broad market support from OEM and ODM partners and is being adopted by CSPs, GPU cloud providers, and enterprise, including xAI, to connect the largest GPU compute cluster in the world. Spectrum-X supercharges Ethernet for AI processing and delivers 1.6x the performance of traditional Ethernet. We plan to launch new Spectrum-X products every year to support demand for scaling compute clusters from tens of thousands of GPUs today to millions of GPUs in the near future. Spectrum-X is well on track to begin a multi-billion-dollar product line within a year. Our sovereign AI opportunities continue to expand as countries recognize AI expertise and infrastructure at national imperatives for their society and industries. Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology is building its AI Bridging Cloud Infrastructure 3.0 supercomputer with NVIDIA. We believe sovereign AI revenue will reach low double-digit billions this year. The enterprise AI wave has started. Enterprises also drove sequential revenue growth in the quarter. We are working with most of the Fortune 100 companies on AI initiatives across industries and geographies. A range of applications are fueling our growth, including AI-powered chatbots, generative AI copilots, and agents to build new monetizable business applications and enhance employee productivity. Amdocs is using NVIDIA generative AI for their smart agent, transforming the customer experience and reducing customer service costs by 30%. ServiceNow is using NVIDIA for its Now Assist offering, the fastest growing new product in the company's history. SAP is using NVIDIA to build Joule copilots. Cohesity is using NVIDIA to build their generative AI agent and lower generative AI development costs. Snowflake serves over 3 billion queries a day for over 10,000 enterprise customers, is working with NVIDIA to build copilots. And lastly, Wistron is using NVIDIA AI Omniverse to reduce end-to-end cycle times for their factories by 50%. Automotive was a key growth driver for the quarter, as every automaker developing autonomous vehicle technology is using NVIDIA in their data centers. Automotive will drive multi-billion dollars in revenue across on-prem and cloud consumption, and will grow as next generation AV models require significantly more compute. Healthcare is also on its way to being a multi-billion dollar business as AI revolutionizes medical imaging, surgical robots, patient care, electronic health record processing, and drug discovery. During the quarter, we announced a new NVIDIA AI Foundry service to supercharge generative AI for the world's enterprises with Meta's Llama 3.1 collection of models. This marks a watershed moment for enterprise AI. Companies, for the first time, can leverage the capabilities of an open source frontier level model to develop customized AI applications to encode their institutional knowledge into an AI flywheel to automate and accelerate their business. Accenture is the first to adopt the new service to build custom Llama 3.1 models for both its own use and to assist clients seeking to deploy generative AI applications. NVIDIA NIMs accelerate and simplify model deployment. Companies across healthcare, energy, financial services, retail, transportation, and telecommunications are adopting NIMs, including Aramco, Lowe's, and Uber. AT&T realized 70% cost savings and 8 times latency reduction after moving into NIMs for generative AI, call transcription, and classification. Over 150 partners are embedding NIMs across every layer of the AI ecosystem. We announced NIM Agent Blueprints, a catalog of customizable reference applications that include a full suite of software for building and deploying enterprise generative AI applications. With NIM Agent Blueprints, enterprises can refine their AI applications over time, creating a data-driven AI flywheel. The first NIM Agent Blueprints include workloads for customer service, computer-aided drug discovery, and enterprise retrieval augmented generation. Our system integrators, technology solution providers, and system builders are bringing NVIDIA NIM Agent Blueprints to enterprises. NVIDIA NIM and NIM Agent Blueprints are available through the NVIDIA AI Enterprise Software Platform, which has great momentum. We expect our software, SaaS, and support revenue to approach a $2 billion annual run rate exiting this year, with NVIDIA AI Enterprise notably contributing to growth. Moving to gaming and AI PCs. Gaming revenue of $2.88 billion increased 9% sequentially and 16% year on year. We saw sequential growth in console, notebook, and desktop revenue, and demand is strong and growing, and channel inventory remains healthy. Every PC with RTX is an AI PC. RTX PCs can deliver up to 1,300 AI TOPS, and there are now over 200 RTX AI laptops designed from leading PC manufacturers. With 600 AI-powered applications and games and an installed base of 100 million devices, RTX is set to revolutionize consumer experiences with generative AI. NVIDIA ACE, a suite of generative AI technologies, is available for RTX AI PCs. Mega Break is the first game to use NVIDIA ACE, including our small language model, Minitron 4B, optimized on device inference. The NVIDIA gaming ecosystem continues to grow. recently added RTX and DLSS titles, including Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Dune Awakening, and Dragon Age, The Veilguard. The GeForce Now library continues to expand with total catalog size of over 2,000 titles, the most content of any cloud gaming service. Moving to Pro Visualization. Revenue of $454 million was up 6% sequentially and 20% year-on-year. Demand is being driven by AI and graphic use cases, including model fine-tuning and Omniverse-related workloads. Automotive and manufacturing were among the key industry verticals driving growth this quarter. Companies are racing to digitalize workflows to drive efficiency across their operations. The world's largest electronics manufacturer, Foxconn, is using NVIDIA Omniverse to power digital twins of the physical plants that produce NVIDIA Blackwell systems. And several large global enterprises, including Mercedes-Benz, signed multi-year contracts for NVIDIA Omniverse Cloud to build industrial digital twins of factories. We announced new NVIDIA USD NIMs and connectors to open Omniverse to new industries and enable developers to incorporate generative AI copilots and agents into USD workloads, accelerating their ability to build highly accurate virtual worlds. WPP is implementing USD NIM microservices in its generative AI-enabled content creation pipelines for customers, such as the Coca-Cola Company. Moving to automotive and robotics. Revenue was $346 million, up 5% sequentially and up 37% year-on-year. Year-on-year growth was driven by the new customer ramps in self-driving platforms and increased demand for AI cockpit solutions. At the Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition Conference, NVIDIA won the Autonomous Grand Challenge in the end-to-end driving at scale category, outperforming more than 400 entries worldwide. Boston Dynamics, BYD Electronics, Figure, Intrinsic, Siemens, Skilled AI, and Teradyne Robotics are using the NVIDIA Isaac Robotics platform for autonomous robot arms, humanoids, and mobile robots. Now moving to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margins were 75.1%, and non-GAAP gross margins were 75.7%, down sequentially due to a higher mix of new products within data center and inventory provisions for low-yielding Blackwell material. Sequentially, GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses were up 12%, primarily reflecting higher compensation-related costs. Cash flow from operations was $14.5 billion. In Q2, we utilized cash of $7.4 billion towards shareholder returns in the form of share repurchases and cash dividends, reflecting the increase in dividend per share. Our board of directors recently approved a $50 billion share repurchase authorization to add to our remaining $7.5 billion of authorization at the end of Q2. Let me turn the outlook for the third quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $32.5 billion, plus or minus 2%. Our third quarter revenue outlook incorporates continued growth of our Hopper architecture and sampling of our Blackwell products. We expect Blackwell production ramp in Q4. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.4% and 75% respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. As our data center mix continues to shift to new products, we expect this trend to continue into the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025. For the full year, we expect gross margins to be in the mid-70% range. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $4.3 billion and $3.0 billion, respectively. Full-year operating expenses are expected to grow in the mid to upper 40% range as we work on developing our next generation of products. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be about $350 million, including gains and losses from non-affiliated investments and publicly held equity securities. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 17%, plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial details are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website. We are now going to open the call for questions. Operator, would you please help us and poll for questions?
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star and then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We will pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. And as a reminder, we ask that you please limit yourself to 1 question. And your first question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my question. Jensen, you mentioned in the prepared comments that there's a change in the Blackwell GPU mask. I'm curious, are there any other incremental changes in back-end packaging or anything else? And I think related, you suggested that you could ship several $billion of Blackwell in Q4 despite a change in the design. Is it because all these issues will be solved by then? Just help us size what is the overall impact of any changes in Blackwell timing, what that means to your kind of revenue profile, and how are customers reacting to it?
Yeah, thanks, Vivek. The change to the mask is complete. There were no functional changes necessary. And so we're sampling functional samples of Blackwell, Grace Blackwell, in a variety of system configurations as we speak. There are something like 100 different types of Blackwell-based systems that are built that were shown at Computext. And we're enabling our ecosystem to start sampling those. The functionality of Blackwell is as it is, and we expect to start production in Q4.
And your next question comes from the line of Toshiya Hari with Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you so much for taking the question. Jensen, I had a relatively longer-term question. As you may know, there's a pretty heated debate in the market on, your customers and customers' return on investment, and what that means for the sustainability of CapEx going forward. Internally at Nvidia, what are you guys watching? What's on your dashboard as you try to gauge customer return and how that impacts CapEx? And then a quick follow-up maybe for Colette. I think your sovereign AI number for the full year went up maybe a couple billion. What's driving the improved outlook, and how should we think about fiscal 26? Thank you.
Thanks, Toshiya. First of all, when I said ship production in Q4, I mean shipping out. I don't mean starting to ship, I don't mean starting production, but shipping out. On the longer term question, let's take a step back. And you've heard me say that we're going through 2 simultaneous platform transitions at the same time. The first one is transitioning from accelerated computing from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And the reason for that is because CPU scaling has been known to be slowing for some time. And it is slow to a crawl. And yet the amount of computing demand continues to grow quite significantly. You could maybe even estimate it to be doubling every single year. And so if we don't have a new approach, computing inflation would be driving up the cost for every company, and it would be driving up the energy consumption of data centers around the world. In fact, you're seeing that. And so the answer is accelerated computing. We know that accelerated computing, of course, speeds up applications. It also enables you to do computing at a much larger scale, for example, scientific simulations or database processing. But what that translates directly to is lower cost and lower energy consumed. And in fact, this week, there's a blog that came out that talked about a whole bunch of new libraries that we offer. And that's really
the core of the first platform transition, going from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And it's not unusual to see someone save 90% of their computing cost. And the reason for that is, of course, you just sped up an application 50x. You would expect the computing cost to decline quite significantly. The second was enabled by accelerated computing because we drove down the cost of training large language models or training deep learning so incredibly that it is now possible to have gigantic scale models, multi-trillion parameter models, and pre-train it on just about the world's knowledge corpus, and let the model go figure out how to understand human language representation and how to codify knowledge into its neural networks and how to learn reasoning. And so which caused the generative AI revolution. Now, generative AI, taking a step back about why it is that we went so deeply into it, is because it's not just a feature, it's not just a capability, it's a fundamental new way of doing software. Instead of human-engineered algorithms, we now have data. We tell the AI, we tell the model, we tell the computer what are the expected answers, what are our previous observations, and then for it to figure out what the algorithm is, what's the function. It learns a universal, AI is a bit of a universal function approximator, and it learns the function. And so you could learn the function of almost anything, and anything that you have that's predictable, anything that has structure, anything that that you have previous examples of. And so now here we are with generative AI. It's a fundamental new form of computer science. It's affecting how every layer of computing is done, from CPU to GPU, from human-engineered algorithms to machine-learned algorithms, and the type of applications you could now develop and produce is fundamentally remarkable. And there are several things that are happening in generative AI. So the first thing that's happening is the frontier models are growing in quite substantial scale, and we're still all seeing the benefits of scaling. And whenever you double the size of a model, you also have to more than double the size of the data set to go train it. And so the amount of flops necessary in order to create that model goes up quadratically. And so it's not unusual, it's not unexpected to see that the next generation models could take 10, 20, 40 times more compute than last generation. So we have to continue to drive the generational performance up quite significantly so we can drive down the energy consumed and drive down the cost necessary to do it. So the first one is there are larger frontier models trained on more modalities, and surprisingly, there are more frontier model makers than last year. And so you have more on more on more. That's one of the dynamics going on in generative AI. The second is, although it's below the tip of the iceberg, what we see are ChatGPT, image generators. We see coding. We use generative AI for coding quite extensively here at Nvidia now. We of course have a lot of digital designers and things like that, but those are kind of the tip of the iceberg. What's below the iceberg are the largest computing systems in the world today, which are, and you've heard me talk about this in the past, which are recommender systems moving from CPUs. It's now moving from CPUs to generative AI. So recommender systems, ad generation, custom ad generation, targeting ads at very large scale and quite hyper targeting, search, and user-generated content. These are all very large-scale applications have now evolved to generative AI. Of course, the number of generative AI startups is generating tens of billions of dollars of cloud renting opportunities for our cloud partners, and sovereign AI. Countries that are now realizing that Their data is their natural and national resource, and they have to use AI, build their own AI infrastructure so that they could have their own digital intelligence. Enterprise AI, as Colette mentioned earlier, is starting, and you might have seen our announcement that the world's leading IT companies are joining us to take the NVIDIA AI Enterprise platform to the world's enterprises. The companies that we're talking to, so many of them are just so incredibly excited to drive more productivity out of their company, and then general robotics. The big transformation last year, as we are able to now learn physical AI from watching video and human demonstration and synthetic data generation, from reinforcement learning from systems like Omniverse. We are now able to work with just about every robotics companies now to start building general robotics. And so you can see that there's just so many different directions that generative AI is going. And so we're actually seeing the momentum of generative AI accelerating.
And Toshiya, to answer your question regarding sovereign AI and our goals in terms of growth, in terms of revenue, it certainly is a unique and growing opportunity, something that surfaced with generative AI and the desires of countries around the world to have their own generative AI that would be able to incorporate their own language, incorporate their own culture, incorporate their own data in that country. So more and more excitement around these models and what they can be specific for those countries. So yes, we are seeing some growth opportunity in front of us.
And your next question comes from the line of Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great, thank you. Jensen, in the press release, you talked about Blackwell anticipation being incredible, but it seems like Hopper demand is also really strong. I mean, you're guiding for a very strong quarter without Blackwell in October. So, how long do you see sort of coexisting strong demand for both? And can you talk about the transition to Blackwell? Do you see people intermixing clusters? Do you think most of the Blackwell activity is new clusters? Just some sense of what that transition looks like.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. The demand for Hopper is really strong. And it's true, the demand for Blackwell is incredible. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is if you just look at the world's cloud service providers and the amount of GPU capacity they have available, it's basically none. And the reason for that is because they're either being deployed internally for accelerating their own workloads, data processing, for example. Data processing, we hardly ever talk about it because it's mundane. It's not very cool because it doesn't generate a picture or, generate words, but almost every single company in the world processes data in the background. And NVIDIA's GPUs are the only accelerators on the planet that process and accelerate data. SQL data, Pandas data science toolkits like Pandas, and the new one, Polars. These are the most popular data processing platforms in the world. And aside from CPUs, which, as I've mentioned before, really running out of steam, NVIDIA's accelerated computing is really the only way to get boosting performance out of that. And so that's number one, is the number one use case long before generative AI came along is the migration of applications one after another to accelerated computing. The second is, of course, the rentals. They're renting capacity to model makers, they're renting it to startup companies. And a generative AI company spends the vast majority of their invested capital into infrastructure so that they could use an AI to help them create products. And so these companies need it now. They just simply can't afford, you just raise money, they want you to put it to use now. You have processing that you have to do. You can't do it next year, you got to do it today. And so there's a fair, that's one reason. The second reason for Hopper demand right now is because of the race to the next plateau. The first person to the next plateau gets to be, gets to introduce a revolutionary level of AI. The second person who gets there is incrementally, better or about the same. And so the ability to systematically and consistently race to the next plateau and be the first one there is how you establish leadership. Nvidia is constantly doing that, and we show that to the world in the GPUs we make and the AI factories that we make, the networking systems that we make, the SoCs we create. I mean, we want to set the pace. We want to be consistently the world's best, and that's the reason why we drive ourselves so hard. Of course, we also want to see our dreams come true, and all of the capabilities that we imagine in the future and the benefits that we can bring to society. We want to see all that come true, and so these model makers are the same. They're of course they want to be the world's best. They want to be the world's first, and although Blackwell will start shipping out in billions of dollars at the end of this year, the standing up of the capacity is still probably weeks and a month or so away. And so between now and then is a lot of generative AI market dynamic. And so everybody is just really in a hurry. It's either operational reasons that they need it. They need accelerated computing. They don't want to build any more general purpose computing infrastructure. And even Hopper, of course, H200 is state of the art. Hopper, if you have a choice between building CPU infrastructure right now for business or Hopper infrastructure for business right now, that decision is relatively clear. And so I think people are just clamoring to transition the $1 trillion of established installed infrastructure to a modern infrastructure, and Hopper is state of the art.
And your next question comes from the line of Matt Ramsey with TD Cowen. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Jensen, I wanted to kind of circle back to an earlier question about the debate that investors are having about, the ROI on all of this CapEx. And hopefully this question and the distinction will make some sense. But what I'm having discussions about is with like the percentage of folks that you see that are spending all of this money and looking to sort of push the frontier towards AGI convergence and, as you just said, a new plateau in capability, and they're going to spend regardless to get to that level of capability because it opens up so many doors for the industry and for their company, versus customers that are really, really focused today on CapEx versus ROI. I don't know if that distinction makes sense. I'm just trying to get a sense of how you're seeing the priorities of people that are putting the dollars in the ground on this new technology and what their priorities are and their time frames are for that investment. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. The people who are investing in NVIDIA infrastructure are getting returns on it right away. It's the best ROI computing infrastructure investment you can make today. And so one way to think through it, probably the easiest way to think through it is just go back to first principles. You have $1 trillion worth of general purpose computing infrastructure, and the question is, do you want to build more of that or not? And for every $1 billion worth of general purpose CPU-based infrastructure that you stand up, you probably rent it for less than $1 billion. And so, because it's commoditized, there's already $1 trillion on the ground. What's the point of getting more? And so the people who are clamoring to get this infrastructure, one, when they build out Hopper-based infrastructure and soon Blackwell-based infrastructure, they start saving money. That's tremendous return on investment. And the reason why they start saving money is because data processing saves money. Data processing is probably just a giant part of it already. And so recommender systems save money, so on and so forth. Okay? And so you start saving money. The second thing is everything you stand up are going to get rented because so many companies are being founded to create generative AI, and so your capacity gets rented right away, and the return on investment of that is really good. And then the third reason is your own business. You want to either create the next frontier yourself, or your own internet services benefit from a next generation ad system, or a next generation recommender system, or a next generation search system. So for your own services, for your own stores, for your own user generated content, social media platforms, for your own services, generative AI is also a fast ROI. And so there's a lot of ways you could think through it, but at the core, it's because it is the best computing infrastructure you could put in the ground today. The world of general purpose computing is shifting to accelerated computing. The world of human engineered software is moving to generative AI software. If you were to build infrastructure to modernize your cloud and your data centers, build it with accelerated computing NVIDIA. That's the best way to do it.
And your next question comes from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Your line is open.
Thanks a lot. I had a question on the shape of the revenue growth, both near and longer term. I know, Colette, you did increase OpEx for the year, and if I look at the increase in your purchase commitments and your supply obligations, that's also quite bullish. On the other hand, there's some school of thought that not that many customers really seem ready for liquid cooling, and I do recognize that some of these racks can be air cooled. But Jensen, is that something to consider, sort of on the shape of how Blackwell is going to ramp? And then I guess when you look beyond next year, which is obviously going to be a great year, and you look into 26, do you worry about any other gating factors like, say, the power supply chain, or at some point models start to get smaller? I'm just wondering if you can speak to that. Thanks.
I'm going to work backwards. I really appreciate the question, Tim. So remember, the world is moving from general purpose computing to accelerated computing, and the world builds about $1 trillion worth of data centers. $1 trillion worth of data centers in a few years will be all accelerated computing. In the past, no GPUs are in data centers, just CPUs. In the future, every single data center will have GPUs. And the reason for that is very clear, because we need to accelerate workloads so that we can continue to be sustainable, continue to drive down the cost of computing, so that when we do more computing, we don't experience computing inflation. Second, we need GPUs for a new computing model called generative AI that we can all acknowledge is going to be quite transformative to the future of computing. And so I think working backwards, the way to think about that is the next $1 trillion of the world's infrastructure will clearly be different than the last trillion, and it'll be vastly accelerated. With respect to the shape of our ramp, we offer multiple configurations of Blackwell. Blackwell comes in either a Blackwell Classic, if you will, that uses the HGX form factor that we pioneered with Volta, and I think it was Volta. And so we've been shipping the HGX form factor for some time. It is air cooled. The Grace Blackwell is liquid cooled. However, the number of data centers that want to go liquid cooled is quite significant. And the reason for that is because we can, in a liquid cooled data center, in any data center, power limited data center, whatever size data center you choose, you could install and deploy anywhere from 3 to 5 times the AI throughput compared to the past. And so liquid cooling is cheaper. Liquid cooling, our TCO is better, and liquid cooling allows you to have the benefit of this capability we call NVLink, which allows us to expand it to 72 Grace Blackwell packages, which has essentially 144 GPUs. And so imagine 144 GPUs connected in NVLink, and that we're increasingly showing you the benefits of that. And the next click is obviously very low latency, very high throughput, large language model inference. And the large NVLink domain is going to be a game changer for that. And so I think people are very comfortable deploying both. And so almost every CSP we're working with are deploying some of both. And so I'm pretty confident that we'll ramp it up just fine. Your second question out of the third is that looking forward, next year is going to be a great year. We expect to grow our data center business quite significantly next year. Blackwell is going to be a complete game changer for the industry, and Blackwell is going to carry into the following year. And as I mentioned earlier, working backwards from first principles, remember that computing is going through two platform transitions at the same time, and that's just really, really important to keep your head on, your mind focused on, which is general purpose computing is shifting to accelerated computing, and human engineered software is going to transition to generative AI or artificial intelligence learned software. Okay.
And your next question comes from the line of Stacy Raskin with Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my questions. I have two short questions for Colette. The first, several $1 billion of Blackwell revenue in Q4. Is that additive? You said you expected Hopper demand to strengthen in the second half. Does that mean Hopper strengthens Q3 to Q4 as well on top of Blackwell adding several $1 billion? And the second question on gross margins, if I have mid-70s for the year, depending on where I want to draw that, if I have 75 for the year, I'd be something like 71 to 72 for Q4, somewhere in that range. Is that the kind of exit rate for gross margins that you're expecting? And how should we think about the drivers of gross margin evolution into next year as Blackwell ramps? And I mean, hopefully, I guess the yields and the inventory reserves and everything come up.
Yes, so Stacy, let's first take your question that you had about Hopper and Blackwell. So we believe our Hopper will continue to grow into the second half. We have many new products for Hopper, our existing products for Hopper, that we believe will start continuing to ramp in the next quarters, including our Q3 and those new products moving to Q4. So let's say Hopper therefore versus H1 is a growth opportunity for that. Additionally, we have the Blackwell on top of that, and the Blackwell starting of ramping in Q4. So hope that helps you on those two pieces. Your second piece is in terms of on our gross margin. We provided gross margin for our Q3. We provided our gross margin on a non-GAAP at about 75. We'll work with all the different transitions that we're going through, but we do believe we can do that 75 in Q3. We provided that we're still on track for the full year, also in the mid-70s or approximately the 75. So we're going to see some slight difference possibly in Q4, again, with our transitions and the different cost structures that we have on our new product introductions. However, I'm not in the same number that you are there. We don't have exactly guidance, but I do believe you're lower than where we are.
And your next question comes from the line of Ben Reitzes with Melius. Your line is open.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot for the question, Jensen and Colette. I wanted to ask about the geographies. There was the 10Q that came out, and the United States was down sequentially, while several Asian geographies were up a lot sequentially. Just wondering what the dynamics are there. Obviously China did very well. You mentioned it in your remarks. What are the puts and takes? And then I just wanted to clarify from Stacy's question if that means the sequential overall revenue growth rates for the company accelerate in the fourth quarter, given all those favorable revenue dynamics. Thanks.
Let me talk about a bit in terms of our disclosure in terms of the 10Q. A required disclosure in a choice of geographies. Very challenging sometimes to create that right disclosure as we have to come up with one key piece. Pieces in terms of who we sell to and or specifically who we invoice to. And so what you're seeing in terms of there is who we invoice. That's not necessarily where the product will eventually be and where it may even travel to the end customer. These are just moving to our OEMs, our ODMs, and our system integrators for the most part across our product portfolio. So what you're seeing there is sometimes just a swift shift in terms of who they are using to complete their full configuration before those things are going into the data center, going into notebooks and those pieces of it. And that shift happens from time to time. But yes, our China number there, our invoicing to China, keep in mind that is incorporating both gaming, also data center, also automotive in those numbers that we have. Going back to your statement regarding gross margin and also what we're seeing in terms of what we're looking at for Hopper and Blackwell in terms of revenue. Hopper will continue to grow in the second half. Will continue to grow from what we are currently seeing. During determining that exact mix in each Q3 and Q4, we don't have here. We are not here to guide yet in terms of Q4. But we do see right now the demand expectations. We do see the visibility that will be a growth opportunity in Q4. On top of that, we will have our Blackwell architecture.
And your next question comes from the line of C.J. Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. You've embarked on a remarkable annual product cadence with challenges only likely becoming more and more given rising complexity and a reticle limit advanced package world. So curious, if you take a step back, how does this backdrop alter your thinking around potentially greater vertical integration, supply chain partnerships, and then thinking through consequential impact to your margin profile? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Let's see. I think the answer to your first question is that the reason why our velocity is so high is simultaneously because the complexity of the model is growing, and we want to continue to drive its cost down. It's growing, so we want to continue to increase its scale. And we believe that by continuing to scale the AI models, that will reach a level of extraordinary usefulness, and that it would open up, realize the next industrial revolution. We believe it, and so we're going to drive ourselves really hard to continue to go up that scale. We have the ability, fairly uniquely, to integrate to design an AI factory because we have all the parts. It's not possible to come up with a new AI factory every year unless you have all the parts. And so we have next year, we're going to ship a lot more CPUs than we've ever had in the history of our company. More GPUs, of course, but also NVLink switches, CX DPUs, ConnectX CPU for East and West, Bluefield DPUs for North and South, and data and storage processing, to InfiniBand for supercomputing centers, to Ethernet, which is a brand new product for us, which is well on its way to becoming a multi-billion-dollar business to bring AI to Ethernet. And so the fact that we could build, we have access to all of this. We have one architectural stack, as you know. It allows us to introduce new capabilities to the market, as we complete it. Otherwise, what happens is you ship these parts, you go find customers to sell it to, and then somebody's got to build up an AI factory. And the AI factory's got a mountain of software. And so it's not about who integrates it. We love the fact that our supply chain is disintegrated in the sense that we could service Quanta, Foxconn, HP, Dell, Lenovo, Supermicro. We used to be able to service ZT. They were recently purchased, and and so on and so forth. And so the number of ecosystem partners that we have, Gigabyte, ASUS, the number of ecosystem partners that we have, that allows them to take our architecture, which all works, but integrated in a bespoke way into all of the world's cloud service providers, enterprise data centers. The scale and reach necessary from our ODMs and our integrator supply chain is vast and gigantic because the world is huge. And so that part we don't want to do, and we're not good at doing. And but we know how to design the AI infrastructure, provide it the way that customers will like it, and lets the ecosystem integrate it. Well, yeah. So, anyways, that's the reason why.
And your final question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Your line is open.
Yes, thanks for taking the question. I wanted to go back into the Blackwell product cycle. One of the questions that we tend to get asked is how you see the rack scale system mix dynamic as you think about leveraging NVLink, you think about GB, NVL72, and how that go-to-market, dynamic looks, as far as the Blackwell product cycle. I guess put succinctly, how do you see that mix of rack scale systems as we start to think about the Blackwell cycle playing out?
Yeah, Aaron, thanks. The
rack scale systems as we start to think about the Blackwell cycle playing
architected as a rack, but it's sold in
the
Blackwell rack system. It's designed and architected as a rack, but it's sold in disaggregated system components. We don't sell the whole rack. And the reason for that is because everybody's rack's a little different, surprisingly. Some of them are OCP standards, some of them are not, some of them are enterprise. And the power limits for everybody could be a little different. Choice of CDUs, the choice of power bus bars, the configuration and integration into people's data centers, all different. And so the way we designed it, we architected the whole rack. The software is going to work perfectly across the whole rack. And then we provide the system components. Like, for example, the CPU and GPU compute board is then integrated into an MGX. It's a modular system architecture. MGX is completely ingenious. And we have MGX ODMs and integrators and OEMs all over the planet. And so just about, any configuration you would like, where you would like that 3,000-pound rack to be delivered, it's got to be close to, it has to be integrated and assembled close to the data center because it's fairly heavy. And so everything from the supply chain, from the moment that we ship the GPU, CPUs, the switches, the NICs, from that point forward, the integration is done quite close to the location of the CSPs and the locations of the data centers. And so you can imagine how many data centers in the world there are and how many logistics hubs we've scaled out to with our ODM partners. And so I think that because we show it as one rack and because it's always rendered that way and shown that way, we might have left the impression that we're doing the integration. Our customers hate that we do integration. The supply chain hates us doing integration. They want to do the integration. That's their value added. There's a final design in, if you will. It's not quite as simple as shimmy into a data center, but that design fit in is really complicated. And so the design fit in, the installation, the bring up, the repair and replace, that entire cycle is done all over the world. And we have a sprawling network of ODM and OEM partners that does this incredibly well. So integration is not the reason why we're doing racks. It's the anti-reason of doing it. The way we don't want to be an integrator. We want to be technology provider.
And I will now turn the call back over to Jensen Huang for closing remarks.
Thank you. Let me make a couple of comments that I made earlier again. The data center worldwide are in full steam to modernize the entire computing stack with accelerated computing and generative AI. Hopper demand remains strong, and the anticipation for Blackwell is incredible. Let me highlight the top 5 things. The top 5 things of our company. Accelerated computing has reached a tipping point. CPU scaling slows. Developers must accelerate everything possible. Accelerated computing starts with CUDA-X libraries. New libraries open new markets for Nvidia. We released many new libraries, including CUDA-accelerated Polars, Pandas, and Spark, the leading data science and data processing libraries. cuVS for vector databases. This is incredibly hot right now. Ariel and Shiona for 5G wireless base station. A whole world of data centers that we can go into now. Parabricks for gene sequencing, and AlphaFold 2 for protein structure prediction is now CUDA accelerated. We are at the beginning of our journey to modernize $1 trillion worth of data centers from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. That's number 1. Number 2, Blackwell is a step function leap over Hopper. Blackwell is an AI infrastructure platform, not just a GPU. Also happens to be the name of our GPU, but it's an AI infrastructure platform. As we reveal more of Blackwell and sample systems to our partners and customers, the extent of Blackwell's leap becomes clear. The Blackwell vision took nearly 5 years and 7 one-of-a-kind chips to realize. The Grace CPU, the Blackwell dual GPU in a CoWoS package, ConnectX DPU for east-west traffic, Bluefield DPU for north-south and storage traffic, NVLink switch for all-to-all GPU communications, and Quantum and Spectrum X for both InfiniBand and Ethernet can support the massive burst traffic of AI. Blackwell AI factories are building-sized computers. Nvidia designed and optimized the Blackwell platform full stack, end-to-end, from chips, systems, networking, even structured cables, power and cooling, and mountains of software to make it fast for customers to build AI factories. These are very capital-intensive infrastructures. Customers want to deploy it as soon as they get their hands on the equipment and deliver the best performance and TCO. Blackwell provides 3 to 5 times more AI throughput in a power-limited data center than Hopper. The third is NVLink. This is a very big deal. With its all-to-all GPU switch is game-changing. The Blackwell system lets us connect 144 GPUs in 72 GB200 packages into one NVLink domain, with an aggregate NVLink bandwidth of 259 terabytes per second in one rack. Just put that in perspective, that's about 10 times higher than Hopper. 259 terabytes per second kind of makes sense because you need to boost the training of multi-trillion parameter models on trillions of tokens. And so that natural amount of data needs to be moved around from GPU to GPU. For inference, NVLink is vital for low latency, high throughput, large language model token generation. We now have 3 networking platforms: NVLink for GPU scale up, Quantum InfiniBand for supercomputing and dedicated AI factories, and Spectrum X for AI on Ethernet. NVIDIA's networking footprint is much bigger than before. Generative AI momentum is accelerating. Generative AI frontier model makers are racing to scale to the next AI plateau to increase model safety and IQ. We're also scaling to understand more modalities, from text, images, and video to 3D, physics, chemistry, and biology. Chatbots, coding AIs, and image generators are growing fast, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Internet services are deploying generative AI for large-scale recommenders, ad targeting, and search systems. AI startups are consuming tens of billions of dollars yearly of CSP's cloud capacity, and countries are recognizing the importance of AI and investing in sovereign AI infrastructure. And NVIDIA AI and NVIDIA Omniverse is opening up the next era of AI, general robotics. And now the enterprise AI wave has started, and we're poised to help companies transform their businesses. The NVIDIA AI Enterprise Platform consists of NeMo, NIMs, NIM agent blueprints, and AI Foundry that our ecosystem partners, the world-leading IT companies, use to help companies customize AI models and build bespoke AI applications. Enterprises can then deploy on NVIDIA AI Enterprise Runtime. And at $4,500 per GPU per year, NVIDIA AI Enterprise is an exceptional value for deploying AI anywhere. And for NVIDIA's software TAM can be significant as the CUDA-compatible GPU installed base grows from millions to tens of millions. And as Colette mentioned, NVIDIA software will exit the year at a $2 billion run rate. Thank you all for joining us today.
And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's call, and we thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.
All right, we have now disconnected. So NVIDIA did move lower during that call. It was some interesting comments, and normally on these spaces, we tend to have our better conversations when we kind of dig in the next day or something. But does anyone have any thoughts? Monative, how you feeling about the call that we just listened to there?
Yeah, I do have to listen a lot more, but there were some very significant highlights. One, I have to listen to the numbers. I'm not sure I heard it right, but the buyers of H100 has gone far beyond the hyperscalers that we keep talking about, the 20 customers that everybody keeps talking about. He did mention enterprises are buying substantial amount of their data center volume is going to, not just cloud service providers, but enterprises and others too. Two, I'm just giving you highlights of what notes I took down. Last quarter, specifically in answer to a question, they said that for this year, the revenue from sovereign cloud would be high single-digit billions. Just now, he said it's going to be, or she said it's going to be low double-digit billions. So that's a 50% increase there. So let's say 3, 4, 5 billion more from sovereign cloud sales. So that's a big deal, right? That's a fantastic jump in one quarter. The other thing, just the highlight, I'm going to try to let others talk here, is throughout his comments and his answers to question was interspersed this idea of the ecosystem play, the level of solution that they have is so complete that there's just nobody even close by. Basically, all that an integrator has to do is just put it together. Almost everything in that rack that's 3,000 pounds is coming from NVIDIA itself. You put it together and ship it only because once you put it together, it's too massive to ship long distance. He said their ODMs are right next to the cloud service providers for this reason. But that's not the point. The point was, and he went at length on how the Blackwell is designed. Almost the entire box is all NVIDIA technologies, is all built by NVIDIA and pieces. That is getting lost in the noise. Is they literally control every part of this chain. They own the whole thing. So this is, whether it's Intel or AMD or Avago with their networking, Intel with their CPU, AMD with CPU, but whole host of other products that go in there, they're taking business away from, every semi out there to some extent or the other. This is, a single box full solution that is well integrated with the software that controls the whole thing. This is just they're just kicking everybody else out of the mix unless you go to great pains to put it together for saving a little bit. And with the demand that's out there, there's going to be very few people that do that, and that's what I took out of it. But there's a lot more. I'll take more notes and get back tomorrow.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to continue this conversation going forward. Shy, do we have you here? Do you have any thoughts? I don't hear Shy. I don't personally hear Shy, but I'm sure he's talking.
Yes. Yeah. I can hear you, Shy.
Spaces. Well, I guess this is a good time to say I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with me on this live stream. If you guys are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to do more of this stuff, maybe make some YouTube videos. I don't know, just make more content going forward, and subscribing to the channel would be great. We're trying to hit the 4,000 watch hour target to get monetized on here. Have 2173. I think we might be even boosting up after that one, but this one, it says 400, so pretty good stream. Appreciate each and every single one of you guys for joining in. I'm down to keep it going for a little bit longer. We'll see. I know he's talking. Jensen Huang's talking on Bloomberg at 6:30, and we'll see how long this ends up going. Normally, it ends up ending pretty quickly after. But I wanted to ask about AMD. I'm gonna ask Shy after this is done for him to move down so that we can end up talking about it. But so that I can hear him. But Nvidia hanging out around 117. There's about 57 of you in here. No, I think we might end up. I think we might end up ending this thing in a little bit, but I appreciate all of you guys for coming in. Anyone still in the chat? Anyone still here? Say hello. Put anything in the chat right now. It still says we have 53 people in here. Let me. Yeah, 398.4 watch hours is what it says right now. Maybe we stay live for a little longer, get to the 400, but no one's saying anything in the chat. That's not a great sign.
Shy.
There we go. It just came up.
There was a question on the margin for the year, which they said was mid-70s, and there was a question the CFO clarified. The margin is, if it is 75, that means the question was whether it's going to be 71-72% margin for the second half, and the CFO clarified, no, it's not the case. We have a product mix change, we have new product release, all those things move the margin around, so their base expectation is 75 for the year, but they do expect to beat that. So in so many words, she said that. So I don't think it's the margin. In fact, what I think it is this delay in Blackwell probably impacted 4 weeks of revenue, 5 weeks of revenue between the end of Q3 and beginning of Q4. And I think that pushed out the guidance from a little bit from Q3 into Q4. I think that's what's confusing the street.
Ooh.
Yeah, but she said that it's going to be mid-70s for the full year. So
you know what, guys? We're going to end it here. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Ninad, I hope you enjoyed your first earnings call. A lot of times they have better sound quality. Great stuff go on them, and they're really important. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great day, great week. If you enjoy it, wherever you came from, Instagram or Twitter, let me know. Send me a DM. Your thoughts on the stream, how the quality was, if it's something that you'd want to listen to, what I could be doing better. Even if it's something with the spaces volume or whatever, but I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you guys are subscribed to the channel and hang out with me again one of these streams. Maybe I'll start doing them more often again. Obviously I've been doing them for pretty major events, but Nvidia, Jerome Powell speaking some big stuff. Nvidia's around 117.15, trying to come back up 11 a little bit, 117.50. So appreciate each and every single one of you guys for joining in on the Spaces, this live stream. Let's figure out about closing this out.